Welcome to Straight Shooting with Samoa Joe. Thank you for being here.
Nice to be here.
How did you get started in the wrestling business?
Started in the wrestling business kind of by accident. Was looking for a jiu-jitsu school and a judo school to kind of go to, and I looked at this place called the West Coast Dojo. Went in for a class, and a guy there who was teaching the class named John Devo asked if I would like to stay after for a pro wrestling class. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll check it out. It seemed like something fun to do. And I stayed after and I tried it out and kind of got hooked from there.
What promotions did you watch growing up, and what were some of your favorite wrestlers?
I think when I was a younger kid, I watched wrestling sparingly, like mostly with my pops, like on a Sunday morning or something. And you watch WWF, of course, that was everywhere. But at the time, like cable TV was just getting hot, so TBS was carrying WCW, and I ended up. I think I probably watched a little bit more NWA at the time than I did WWE. But I mean, kind of growing up, WWE was always out there because they had better distribution everywhere. So I mean, WWE, WCW, and then when I was, when I go to Hawaii back and forth, they actually showed a lot of UWF on TV over there on the Japanese stations, because there's a big Japanese community out in Hawaii. And I mean, that was another promotion I really liked, because I mean, back then it was like the realest looking stuff out there. So I mean, that looked really real. It was like, oh, these are the real fights, and it was pretty cool.
When you started training, what was it like?
I started, the pro wrestling trainer at the school was a guy named Cincinnati Red, who was kind of a well-known pro wrestler in Southern California at the time. And he was the type of guy that, like, there weren't many students at the West Coast Dojo when I first got there. It was maybe me and two other guys, and I went every day. I'd get done with work, and in the afternoons I'd head straight to the dojo, and it got so bad, like, I'd get there before the trainers would get there, and I'd open up and I'd go in there and I'd start practicing, and then the trainers would come, and Red would show up, and he'd start working with me on stuff. And Red had a heavy influence in lucha, because it was kind of like the predominant style in Southern California, being so close to Mexico. And so I ended up initially starting doing like a lot of lucha stuff, and then he started me with doing the more Americanized American style stuff. And for the most part, like when I first started, like I did a lot of lucha stuff, and it's it trips people out today when I tell them that, because they're like, wow, that's how you started out. And yeah, I did. So and it was hard. I was really hard on myself, and I really pushed myself really hard. And after about 4 or 5 months, I debuted, and kind of went from there.
Who was your first match against, and how did it turn out?
It was against a guy named Uncle Jess Hansen. That's what he wrestled as normally, but XPW had just started up in Southern California, and they were signing everybody to these exclusivity contracts, and Jess was one of the guys that they signed up. I think he wrestled in a gimmick called Sybil or something. And UIWA and XPW, of course, had this heat because for whatever reason they felt they stole their guys away from them, and there was all this kind of mudslinging going around between indie feds. And but Jess had been coming down to the dojo and getting a workout and training with Red and me, and he was a really cool guy. And he just he said, hey, the kid's first match is coming up soon. I'd like to be his first match. And he wrestled under a mask as Enigma de Oro or something wacky. He just had like some spare mask in his trunk, and it was at the dojo in front of like 15 people. And I mean, it went well. It went surprisingly well, and he was really like happy with how everything went. And I was doing the Samoa Joe gimmick, which was a comedy gimmick when I first started out. And I really couldn't ask for a much better first match. I mean, it was pretty good for a first time. A lot of people said, and they were really surprised. So I mean, it was a lot of fun.
How did you end up working for UPW?
After a while working in UIWA and a lot of local Southern California indies, there's a guy named Big Swag, works for Monster Garage now, and he had been coming to shows and been checking them out. And Rick Bassman, the owner of UPW, had just started running shows with UPW, and they're pretty good for the time, because he was running in nice venues around Southern California. He was running in the Roxy, he was running in the Galaxy, which is a pretty nice theater, and he had assembled guys with really great looks. Maybe not the best wrestlers in the world, but guys who looked really great. And he was running these shows, and he's told me, well, maybe a couple of months down the road, we'll give you a shot at UPW. Maybe you can start working there. And I said, and at the time, I'm taking whatever work I can get. So I was like, thanks, I appreciate it. It should be fun. And that week they had a show up at the Roxy in Hollywood, and it ended up Aaron Baker canceled and couldn't make it. So Schwag called me up, and I worked for UPW against a guy named Dirty Dave Sanchez. Great name, by the way. And we had a pretty good match, and after that, Bassman walked up to me and he asked me if I would be on all future UPW shows, and the relationship kind of started from there.
You were working hardcore matches there, right?
Initially, they had this guy named Josh Dempsey, and Dempsey's one of the truly great characters in pro wrestling that probably a lot of you have never heard about. Dempsey was a guy who was an ex-boxer, I think he was number 4 in the IBF or something like that. And Rick was really high on him, and Dempsey, for the most part, had been in a few boxing matches and had been showing the signs of being in a few boxing matches. And Dempsey's finisher was a right hook with the chain wrapped around his fist. Unfortunately, Dempsey really hadn't mastered the art of pulling a punch, so Dempsey pretty much punched you in the face with the chain wrapped around his fist. So I was still trying to do whatever I could to get work and do whatever. So the call went around and said, well, we want to do this hardcore thing, because that was at the time the hardcore was really big, with ECW kind of hitting its peak around that time. And I remember them saying, who are we going to put him in there with? Nobody wants to do it. And I was like, fuck it, I'll do a hardcore match with Dempsey. And they're like, really? And I go, yeah, I don't care, whatever. And like, okay, sure. So yeah, I went in there, did a hardcore match with Dempsey, and it sucked, because the guy's a professional boxer, and he doesn't, he has good aim with his punches. He just has good power to go with them, and wrap a chain around his fist, and it really starts to suck. So I remember that was the first of the long series of broken noses that I began to receive pro wrestling, and right off the bat, Dempsey wound up with the chain wrapped around his fist and socked me in the head, and my nose exploded into 1,000 pieces, and the match was over. And afterwards, everybody was all freaking out. Oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Was the match okay? And they were just like, right on. God damn it, Sid! I'm trying to do a fucking shoot interview. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry for the folks at home. That's Sid's phone. He's an asshole. Okay, anyways.
Were you surprised UPW gave you a push so quickly?
Yeah, but when I joined UPW too, Rick had asked me to help start training at the school. He's like, you're a really good pro wrestler. I'd like you to start training at the school. And at the time, I was just breaking into the business, and I was like, I'm still learning myself. He's like, yeah, but you can really help a lot of the guys, and you have a good grasp of pro wrestling, and you can help make them more crisp when the WWE scouts come around and stuff like that. And of course, big opportunities for you. And so I began working at the school for UPW, and then I really, at the time, it was starting to get hot, and a lot of good workers were starting to bring in the best workers from around Southern California, who were a lot of my friends. They started bringing in Frankie Kazarian, the Cubanitos. Christopher Daniels was there before me, but he was starting to be used more regularly. Mikey Henderson, just a lot of really, really good, talented young guys were being brought in, and UPW was really garnering a following, and nationally I think people were starting to hear about it. The WWE relationship, when it was really strong with UPW, they were sending down Hunter and Regal, who I got to learn from, and all these different guys. And I really believed in the company at the time, and Rick seemed really gung-ho on starting something cool and something big, and there was a lot of opportunity going around. It was a real positive atmosphere. John Cena was there, and that's where he made his start, and where I met him, and watched him evolve and go off and do his thing. And it's like, at the time, so I started working in the office and doing that, and at the time, a friend of Chris Daniels, Kevin Quinn, was brought in to help be a trainer at a second school he was going to open up in LA. He had opened up a school in Orange County, which is just south of LA, and he wanted to open up a second training facility at the Raw Training Center up in LA, and Kevin Quinn was the head trainer there, and he was also booking it. And Kevin sort of turned to me. He's like, you wrestle really aggressive like a heel. Why don't you become a heel? And then so I became a heel with the company. And he's like, and why don't we, and Rick was very gung ho and like, yeah, let's put the belt on Joe. I think we can do something with that. And they ended up putting the UPW title on me, and it happened quickly, but at the same time, I think Rick and Kevin, guys like that, thought, well, it was the best thing. It was the best thing that could be the most interesting for the fans who would come to the shows.
What was John Cena like?
John's an awesome guy. I'd be hard pressed to say a bad thing about John. The reason why John Cena is a success that he is today is because I've never seen anybody work as hard as John. John came to every practice at UPW. There was 3 to 4 practices a week at the school. He came to every practice. He was there early. He was the last one to leave. He is, and he works out like crazy. It's no secret. He looks great. And he's just a guy who went in there, and he wasn't handed anything. Like a lot of guys, they'll get the WWE contract, they have a good look, and they see potential in him. But, John took that a step further. He had a great look, and they saw potential in him, and he worked his ass off, and that's why he's as successful as he is today. And I think he'll continue to be successful. And I remember, and just as a person, just a great guy, hilarious guy, fun to be around. Like, we were constantly ribbing the Ballards and people like that, and just having a good time. And he's just a real cool cat, and I'm more than happy for him.
What was it like wrestling in front of the WWE scouts?
The first time, it was absolutely nerve-wracking. You're maybe a year and a half in the business. You're wrestling in front of Bruce Pritchard at the time, or Paul Bearer came down a couple times, and it's really nerve-wracking, and you really have this hope and dream, like, oh, this is the big one, this is going to happen, I'm going to be in the WWE, and I have my big shot now. And you kind of take on that euphoric look to it, and in reality, it obviously wasn't true, but it is nerve-wracking. Especially when that early on in the business, and you really don't have a good grasp of what wrestling truly is yet, and you're still learning, and you're still trying to figure everything out. So they always had great comments about my wrestling, but it's a lot more than just the way you wrestle. They're looking for a lot of things when they're looking to hire for WWE.
Now, you worked at S.A. Rios at a TV taping, right? And then I guess it aired on Jacked. How did that go?
It's fine. I'm sitting in the back, and I'd been going to Darks a ton. When I was working for UBW, like every time they do their West Coast swing, they'd send like me, John, Hardcore Kid, Aaron Aguilera, and a couple other guys to go do dark matches for them, just because they knew we were dependable. So it was my first dark match I had with them, and I'm sitting in the back, and sitting in catering, and here comes Tom Pritchard. He's walking in the back, and he's like, "All right, we do that lucha shit." I was kind of sitting in the back, and Rick pointed over, he's like, well, joking, who you need to work with? He's like, oh, somebody needs to work at S.A. Rios and after Jack. And he goes, well, joking that he can give him a good match. So, I was like, yeah, whatever, sure, cool, whatever. Talk with S.A. a bit, and he's just like, he's trying to explain to me the moves, and I was saying it back to him in Spanish, like, oh, this. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, yeah, no problem. Oh, okay, good. So the match went off good, and it was simple, short WWE TV dark match squash, and just went out there and did it, and afterwards, Doc Hendricks walked up to me, and I think I threw like one belly-to-belly suplex. That was my big offensive move for the match. And I remember when I was watching back on tape, like Doc Hendricks came to me, he was like, hey, you're really explosive out there. It's good stuff. And I go, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. And I was, really flattered. And then we went back and watched the tape. Of course, whenever there's dark matches, all they're really talking about is, the big pay-per-view main event. So, like, you're reading their wrestling, and they're sitting there like, oh, the Undertaker, and, he's going to go after such and such, and Kane, and my God, and, they're not talking about the match at all. And the only saving grace for me in that entire match was halfway in between putting over the big Undertaker main event for SummerSlam or something. I hit the belly-to-belly on S.A. Rios, and Doc Hendricks literally forgot what the hell he was saying, and just kind of went, oh my God, what the... And that was probably the only saving grace of them doing that match.
What was the locker room like?
WWE locker rooms, just, it's pretty calm back there. I mean, you know, for the most part, when you're a new guy, you just kind of you say your hellos and you shake hands. But after that, you just kind of keep to yourself or chill out. Funny story was we're sitting at a table and it's me, John Cena, before we just was on the cusp of signing his contract, and Aaron Aguilera, who was also on the cusp of signing his first contract, and so we're sitting there. And we're all sitting at a table, and Benoit's walking around, and he can't find a place to sit in catering. So he kind of walks up and says, "Hey, can I sit down here?" And yeah, sure. No, Chris Benoit, you can't sit next to me. So we sat down, and we started talking, and at the time I just started going over for 0-1. We were backstage, and so we're sitting there talking back and forth, and he's talking about Japan. I told him I worked with Otani. He's talking about working with Otani back in New Japan days, and then here comes Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero comes and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Chris?" He's like, "You guys don't mind if I sit here?" "Yeah, sure, sit down, Eddie." And so he started getting in the conversation too, and then Jericho sat down, and so we're all sitting there just kind of shooting the bull back and forth about Japan and different stuff, and this guy and that guy. And John's in there on conversation too, and he's talking too. And I look over at Aaron Aguilera, and he's just kind of frozen. He's like not looking at anybody, and we finish our conversation like, "Yeah, nice to meet you guys, and good luck out there, thanks." And they walk off and do their respective thing, and then I turn to Aaron Aguilera, and he was just still frozen. He's like, "Dude." I'm like, "Well, what?" And he's like, "Well, you're just talking to right there?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're talking to Chris Benoit and Eddie and Chris Jericho." He's like, "Oh, like your bros, homie. I mean, what was up with that?" And he's just like flipping out. And me and John proceeded to make fun of him the rest of the night. But the follow-up story of that is another great story about Doc Hendricks. I'm sitting backstage at WWE, and we're in the catering. And this is after the match I just had with S.A. Rios. And it's me, John Cena, Aaron Aguilera again. So we're sitting there, and I walk up to the catering table, and I'm grabbing some fruit and stuff, because starving. And John's like, "Yeah, give me a chocolate chip cookie." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I grabbed him a chocolate chip cookie, and he's like, "Yeah, grab me one too." And he grabbed me one too. And then here I come, and there's this other chocolate chip. I'll grab one too for the road. So I got one cookie in my mouth, I got two in my hands, and this bowl of fruit and all this stuff. And I'm walking back to the table. Right when I turn around, here's Doc Hendricks about to come compliment me. So I turn around, and Doc Hendricks, talking, "Hey kid, let me talk to you for a minute." So I turn around, and there I am, looking like the ultimate fat boy with two cookies in my hand and one in my mouth. Doc Hendricks looks at me, he's like, "Really like them cookies, don't you?" And I go, "Oh no, I'm actually getting them from my friends over there." And I point to John Cena area, and those motherfuckers turned their back on me like I didn't even know who the fuck I was. Like, what? What do you? No, we didn't want no cookies. I'm like, "No, actually they're for me. I really like cookies." Then he gave me the compliment and walked off.
You talked about in UPW working as a heel. Was there anybody who gave you any advice on how to improve or what to do?
For the most part, just the guys that were around. Daniels, he gave me a lot of advice, and there was no set guideline. I mean, I just kind of went out there and just tried to wrestle aggressively and just be a dick, and it worked out nicely. Like I said, UPW at the time, it was really hot and really starting to catch and stuff, but obviously things changed over there, and instead of kind of becoming its own entity, it really became more of a, just like trying to serve the needs of what WWE wanted. And I mean, I remember guys used to come in, like just bodybuilding guys, who really I wouldn't put in the ring yet, and it just kind of deteriorated in my eyes. I mean, for me it did. But then again, UPW's got to run a business, and that's what they make. What Bassman makes money off. He's management. He makes money off of managing people. So, he was going to give the push and the spotlight to guys who he saw as prospects, and not necessarily guys who thought were good wrestlers, and try to get them signed and try to get his money that way. And I mean, if he's got to make a living, so I can't ultimately blame him. But I mean, you definitely saw a deterioration of the product over time. I mean, at least I was there, and I mean, if they're doing better now, then more power to them.
You talked about wrestling Daniels. What are your memories of those matches in UPW?
Honestly, me and Daniels didn't have a really good match until I got to Ring of Honor. I don't think. We had a few on a couple of indies, but like the UPW matches, like they were always done WWE style. So it was like, you guys got 8 minutes. You guys got 6 minutes. You guys got, we're your big main event tonight. We're going to give you all the 12 minutes tonight, pal. And you can't really do a lot with that amount of time. You can't really have a good match within the confines of that time. I mean, you can, but I mean, at the same time, it makes it tough, because then you're kind of rushing through things. You're not doing and working the crowd and doing the things you want to do. So I mean, I don't think until we got into other federations where we got some time to wrestle that we really did have a good match. But I mean, it was always fun working Daniels. And I mean, the ribs were nonstop. I mean, if there's anybody in the world that I throw more hell towards, it's probably Christopher Daniels. So I mean, it was always quite fun.
How did you end up working for 01?
Hashimoto had come into town at the time. He was working closely with the Noki office out here in Los Angeles. And he was looking for new gaijin talent for his new Japanese promotion. And basically, I heard about the tryout, and they referred him, said, we'll go down to UPW. They got some good guys there. A friend of mine, Justin McCulley, who was working with the Noki office at the time, he told me, he's like, yeah, go down to UPW on this day and go try out. I think they'll dig you. And like, he put me over to them and stuff. And so I said, yeah, no problem, thanks, bro, I appreciate it. We're down there, and Hashimoto's kind of trying to explain what they wanted from the Japanese style and what they were looking for, and it sounded pretty similar to what I was doing already, So I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I went in there, and they just wanted basically, like, kind of just shoot wrestling on the ground. They weren't really looking for spots or anything. They just wanted you to go in there and see if you could just go on the ground, throw credible strikes, and look good, because they're doing their Shingeki pay-per-views, which were their sheet pay-per-views. And so, he just wanted to see guys who could work on the mat and have a working knowledge of submissions and stuff. And I did, from doing judo when I was a kid. So I said, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. So I went in there, and I wrestled Hoshikawa for like 25 minutes, just on the ground, just back and forth, and just kind of going through holds and locks and escaping and countering and stuff. And Hashimoto was really impressed with it, and he was like, oh, good guy, he knows submission, and do some kicks and some punches and stuff, and he liked it. And but inevitably, at the tryout, Rick had shown him Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich, and he was really pushing them hard. Like, basically, we had a tryout, and then Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich had their own tryout, and which is fine, because that's they're big guys, and I think they deserve to have a showcase. But I was hot, needless to say. And so they did, and Hashimoto was impressed, because, I mean, Nathan's a really athletic guy for his size, and so is John. So originally, the two people they wanted to bring over for the Shingeki pay-per-view were John and Nathan. But the problem was, John and Nathan were under contract to WWE at the time, so that makes it somewhat of an impossibility. So plan B was myself and Keiji Sakota, which, it's kind of a lackluster entrance into Japan, but, you take what you can get. So me and Keiji went over there, and we wrestled two guys from Battle Arts, Yuki Ishikawa and Ketsumi Yasuda. And, just the match wasn't anything fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. But it opened the eyes of, like, Otani and some of the sub-bookers, and that, hey, we want to use Samoa Joe. The guy can, he can do some stuff, and with a little bit of coaching, we can work with him and get him to, really work the style and put on some good matches. And and then Hashimoto felt the same way, so I ended up starting with 01 there and continuing on with him.
Now, you were in the first Fire Festival tournament. I know you wrestled like Tanaka, Kanemura. What are your memories of the tournament and those matches?
That was the most fun I've ever. Well, first of all, there was Inoki and Hashimoto and 01 were working together, and for some reason there was something said in the press. Inoki got very angry, and the original Fire Festival was myself, Masato Tanaka, Kazunari Murakami, Justin McCulley, Sean McCulley, Koei Sato, Otani, and the Battle Arts guys, Yasuda, Alexander Otsuka, like all these guys in the first tournament. Before the first tournament happened, Inoki took offense to something that was said in the press, or there was actually, I believe it was something to do with Mark Kerr, because Mark Kerr was being used for the Shingeki pay-per-views, and there was a big dispute because Inoki was working with Pride and Dream Stage 1 Entertainment, which was financially backing the Shingeki pay-per-views, had hired Mark Kerr without going through Inoki office, and it pissed off Pride, and it pissed off Inoki, because that was the connection that they were supposed to go through. So Inoki inevitably pulled all of his guys out, which were Justin McCulley, Kazunari Murakami, and the Battle Arts guys, Yuki Ishikawa, Otsuka, Yasuda, guys like that. So he pulled out pretty much half of the tournament, half of the participants in the tournament for the first Fire Festival, and was basically hell-bent on just shutting 0-1 down. So there was a tremendous mad dash to rebook everything. And I remember, like, we were staying at the Hotel A&A, and Justin McCulley had given me a call to my room. He's like, come to my room right now. I'm like, what's going on, bro? He's like, get down here now and don't let anybody see you. So I went down to the room, and Sean was sitting there, and he wasn't a member of Inoki office. He was working for 0-1, and he goes, you got to help me get out of here. And I go, why? What's up? He goes, Inoki's pulling us. And I go, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. The Japanese are pissed at each other, and everybody's hot, and everybody's crazy right now. He's like, I need to get out of here without 0-1 Alpha staff seeing me. So I go, all right, bro. He's like, yeah. I go, well, what's up? You can take care of it? I know he's taking care of everything. We just need to go. Okay. So we walk downstairs, and I think the 0-1 office just heard about what was about to happen, so they were rushing upstairs to try to talk to all the guys. And I get to the front desk, and here comes the 0-1 boss Nakamura and all the Dream Stage guys, and I'm doing a tap dance in front of him while Justin's sneaking out the back where there's a UFO off his van waiting for him, and they cart him off, and he gets to have a nice Kobe steak dinner and flies home and gets paid his full amount. God bless you, Justin. And so we were like, oh shit, So the shows got cut down, and the brackets got cut down a lot too. I think it was 4 people in the bracket now, and but for the most part, the crowds were still hot. It was my first opportunity I ever got to wrestle with Hurricane. I had a really hot match there with Kohei Sato, where I pretty much mauled him until the end. And it was just a blast. It was my first time in Japan. I spent 3 weeks there, and I just had a great time. And it's definitely my most memorable trip to Japan, because 9/11 went down and I was in Japan when it happened, and I had to fly home the next day to the chaos. But the matches were all great. Wrestling Masato Tanaka for the first time was awesome. Tanaka, in my opinion, is probably one of the top 5 guys in the world. As far as just going in there and be able to just put on a great match and just work and just go out there and do it and wrestle, and it was a lot of fun.
Is it true you got heat on the tour because you did the Island Driver, which is Misawa's finish, in the same building where Noah had their offices?
Yeah, it was a funny thing. Like, the Emerald Froge and the Island Driver essentially are the same move. And I'd seen Misawa wrestle before, but I'd always seen him use the Tiger Driver. I didn't know that was his move. So I wrestled Masato Tanaka in the semis for the Fire Festival in Diffra Ariake. Well, the Noah offices are located in Diffra Ariake, and we had a couple Noah guys on the show, Daisuke Ikeda and Takeshi Sugiura. So I go out there and I wrestle Tanaka, and I ended up winning the match with the Island Driver, Emerald Frojan. And I walk to the back, and I see Ikeda and Sugiura giggling uncontrollably as they're about to go out for the match. And so, I look at Ikeda, Mandeska, what is it? And he's like, good job, boss. Good job, boss. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He goes, finish, boss. And I remember when I hit it, like, kind of the crowd was like, oh, like I don't know, kicked the puppy or something. And then I remember one of the 0-1 young guys, Ryoji Sai, speaks English, came up to me and explained to me, Joey, you're fucking crazy. And I go, who are you? He goes, you do Misawa's finish, his most dangerous finish in Noah's building. And I go, I didn't know. I'm sorry. He's like, no, it's okay. Hashimoto thinks it's very funny. And I go, okay, no problem.
What was Hashimoto like?
Hashi's he's a pretty cool cat. He's a pretty jolly fella. outside the ring, he's a generous guy, and he's pretty low key. He loves a good laugh, big ripper. Mostly on the Japanese young guys. I mean, he tortures them like no other. Well, Tani's actually worse, but Hashimoto's up there pretty good too. But I mean, as a person, he's a nice guy, and he means well. He has some crazy ideas about pro wrestling. He wants from guys, but for the most part, he's a pretty decent chap.
You talked about you did some training at UPW. Who were some of the bigger names you trained?
Guys that went through the school while I was teaching. John Cena, of course, Victoria, Nathan Jones, John Heidenreich. I mean, Victoria was. She does so good. She was like a carbon copy of John. She's a girl who came in as a fitness model, or and I think an aerobics champion or something like that. And I mean, she showed up every day, and she was the type of person who was a perfectionist. If she got something wrong, she'd keep doing it. She'd go practice on her own time. She really made the effort, and it shows. I mean, that's why I think she's doing so well for herself in WWE. Great athlete, of course. Nathan Jones he's a very unique individual. Nathan is stronger than strong. I mean, he's a big cat. And of course, when it came time to teach Nathan how to chop, everybody was scared to have the big man chop him, so I said, fuck it. Nathan, come here, you're going to chop me. Oh, really? And he's really enthusiastic, like almost to like a fun. I mean, he's really enthusiastic. He's so, I'm going to chop you. Is it okay? Yeah, it's fine. All right, yeah, I'm doing it right. Yeah, we're going to find out if you're doing it right or not. And that was fucking one of the dumbest things I ever did in my life. But, I mean, he got his chops down, and, he's just really enthusiastic. And the worst part I think about him in WWE is the WWE fans never got a true taste of his promo power, because Nathan's favorite thing in the world was cutting promos. And there were these fantastic promos that I can't even do justice with a poorly done impression. I mean, just, can you hear it? It's the call of the warrior and the blood of 1,000 soldiers, and just like these big, long, epic diatribes that, like Shakespeare wrote them, and he just spit them verbatim, and just with such intensity and fire and passion, and it's the sound of your bones crushing between these fists, and it's just. But I mean, it was funny. That's the way he was coached to do promos, and it just was it came out pretty hilarious.
Were there any guys in UPW that you thought should have made it further than they did?
Well, I mean, other than the obvious, like the Christopher Danielses, guys like Frankie Kazarian. Mikey Henderson was a guy that I thought should have made it further. If anything, Mikey had his own kind of personal things that affected him, but for the most part, he was a good guy.
How did you end up working the APW King of the Indies tournament in 2001?
Rowan Alexander, we were doing some cross-promotional work with UPW and APW were kind of doing this cross-promotional war deal. So as it worked out, Rowan, for the most part, had always said, I wasn't really high on you when I first saw you, because he came down to a UPW show. He's like, I didn't think you were any good. And so I said, okay, well, thanks. He's like, and then after I saw you work in APW, I thought you're great. Okay, that's cool. So then, he wanted to do this big, like, super indie tournament with all the best talent from all around the United States, and so that's where initially I met a lot of the guys that I work with regularly today. Low Key, American Dragon, AJ, Chris, Scoot. God, I can't think who else was in that tournament. Oh, Vinny Massaro, Donovan, Bison, myself. So, no, that's my phone, by the way, if you want to go turn that off. Yeah, that's how I got involved in the tournament. You know, after he saw me working APW, doing cross promotional stuff, he asked me if I wanted to do the tournament. I said, sure, I'd love to. And, you know, it just kind of took off from there.
What are your memories of your first round match against Frankie Kazarian and your second round match against Loki?
My first round match with Frankie Kazarian was pretty much Kazarian cussing me out through the entire match because there was a lot of stuff unseen in that match that I was doing. The thing that sucked, I just wrestled the Predator in UPW, and Sylvester Turkey, who's a huge guy, who's incredibly strong too. And Sylvester had actually had put a hairline fracture in one of my ribs. So, I mean, I was like, the night before, I was like coughing up stuff, and Chris is telling me, oh, you shouldn't wrestle, you shouldn't do this. And I'm like, nah, fuck it, I'm cool, I'll be fine. And so I went in there with Frankie, and like, I remember like, right off the get-go of the match, I was just like, I was dying, I was hurting. So, we get in there, we do the match, and Kazarian's he's just like, you gonna be okay, bro? You gonna be okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then like I hit him with like a couple stiff shots, and he was just like, oh, you dick, you're not hurt, you're fucking with me, you're ribbing me, you know. But you know, it was a decent match. I don't think it's the best stuff that me and Frankie have put on, but I mean, it was pretty good for what it was. And then Loki. Yeah, I don't know how that match came about. It didn't sound that way when it started out, but basically, like, my rib was hurt, and I knew I couldn't run a lot of spots because we tried with Frankie, and I was really dying out there. And so, I mean, I remember I just got in there with Loki, and Key just kind of looked at me and was like, well, just want to kind of go out there and just do it? I said, yeah, let's just do that. And then, you know, like, he hit me, then I hit him. And then he hit me harder. Then I hit him harder. And then he hit me harder than that. And then I kicked him harder. And then he kicked me. And then, I don't know, it just kind of like ego and pride took over, and, you know, we both got pretty big. Well, I got a lot of pride, and I think he does too, and I think inevitably we just started kicking the shit out of each other. And then the crowd started cheering. And then we decided, oh, hell, why? If it ain't broke, why fix it? And it kind of just progressed from there.
What was Rick Bassman like?
Rick's a guy who, you know, he's pretty motivated, just, you know, to get stuff done. You know, as a guy who, yeah, I respect his ability to keep going and try to make money and do what he can to stay on top and stay afloat. But, you know, at other times too, like, I was a little hampered by his need to kind of control the situation and control what wrestlers did, like, a little bit beyond, especially when there really was no monetary compensation for the amount of control that he wanted as far as what you did and what you know, what you were going to do and where you went and this and that. So I mean, that was kind of my biggest complaint with Rick. I mean, I don't mind taking orders and listening and going along with the program, but at the same time, you know, to me, it was real sort of a suffocating deal with how much he wanted to have his hands into your career or anything that you did. And I mean, I understand agents' fees and stuff like that, that's fine. But I mean, it got to a point where I remember I would go do indie shows and he would try to change the booking because I was going to go over for the UPW title in a couple weeks. And, you know, it first came up when I was wrestling Red, the guy who trained me, the guy who broke me into the business. And, you know, I was going to put over Red at this small indie show that really had nothing to do with UPW, as MPW up in California. And Rick had called and he had gone off and said to me pretty much that if I put over the guy who trained me at an indie show, that I wouldn't be used on UPW shows anymore because I would be killing myself in the eyes of the fans because I put over Red and I was going to win the UPW belt and all this stuff. And I hadn't even won the belt. I mean, I couldn't understand protecting it, but I didn't won it yet. And then in Japan, there was a lot of stuff like, the after the big fallout when the Inoki office left, the 01 promoter Yoshiki Nakamura had told me, please talk about the Fire Festival, please put over the importance of the Fire Festival and stuff in the Samurai TV interview. And Rick was adamant that I put over UPW. So as an agent, which he was for me, a manager I should say, I feel it's your job to promote me. And as a manager, you earn your money by promoting me and helping get me work and getting my name out there and helping me expand and help me build a career. I've worked in the entertainment industry for upwards of 18 years now. I mean, my parents own the largest parties and dance troupe in the U.S. and probably the most successful. I mean, I've been doing convention work and performing in front of people since I was 5 years old. And I mean, I've dealt with agents on the phone. I've been booking shows. I've done everything that there is in the wrestling business and the entertainment business are closely similar because they're very much the same. I mean, you make your money by having people pay to sit in a seat and watch what you're going to do and entertain them. Well, with Rick Bassman, it felt more like I was promoting him and UPW. I mean, it wasn't me, it was UPW came first. And then with 01 contracting, when 01 bookings came around, you want your manager to push you to the forefront as your manager. You want him to say, here, this is the guy you want to use, you should use this guy, and really push that. Well, it was a conflict of interest because he managed everybody at UPW. That was kind of like the status quo. If you got a booking in Japan or you got a booking or anywhere, well, outside of Indies, WWE, that he was your manager, he represented you. But it got to the point where, he was really trying to push all the guys, not just one or two guys or guys that should be focused upon, to 01. So it's like my bookings got cut down because he was offering up all these other guys, in my stead. And his argument was, well, they'll take what they want. But at the same time, if you're offering them all this stuff and making them all these promises on the guys, and a lot of guys didn't deliver, didn't near have the same quality matches I was putting on for 01, then, to me, it seemed like a conflict of interest, because basically he would do that, and he would kind of throw you it felt like he was throwing me a bone to kind of keep me hooked in, to keep me with the program. But at the same time, it's like, no, I don't want to be booked every 2 months. I wanted to be booked every month. And then because I wanted to make a living at this. I think as a pro wrestler, I have a right to make a living as a pro wrestler. And I think I have a right to do whatever I can to make a living as a pro wrestler. And his excuse was, a lot of guys don't make money in this business. Well, that's not good enough for me. I want to make money in this business. I don't want you to sit there and tell me I should be thankful for the opportunities. No, I'm thankful for the opportunities, but I want to make money. I want to call this my career. I don't want to be a weekend warrior. I don't want to sit here and pretend that, this is my hobby and it's a fun thing, a fun diversion, and I'm just waiting for the big moment to break. That's not what I didn't want to accept that. And I mean, a lot, and then he'd bring up the excuse, well, a lot of guys would kill to be in the position that you're in. Well, that's fine. But a lot of guys aren't here, and I am, and I want more. And if it's such a crime to ask for more, to ask to make a living doing this, then I just didn't see it that way. So here I am, I'm working for UPW, and I'm going over for 01. And I used to, Nakamura, who's still a good friend of mine, the 01 manager and kind of the head boss over there, along with Hashimoto, he used to hand me the book of what Rick would send. So he'd send this big binder filled with all these wrestlers. It was like pick a wrestler. It was like, and basically, like, as they would call it, was like pick a jobber. Like it'd be all these wrestlers with goofy gimmicks that they could choose any one of them out of the book, point out to them, oh, and there's an Indian, and you got a crazy, this guy over here and this guy over here, and hey, maybe we want to have him job out a Persian guy today. And it was like, it was kind of like looked like a mail order bride service. And he used to joke around, and he goes, yeah, Bassman sent me this big book. Your picture, not in here. And it was funny to me. So, he kind of hooks in. Bassman has this, to me, and like I said, I'll let him defend himself, and he does provide great opportunities for people, first time out, and he does do a good job of kind of getting you seen by the right people, and if you have the qualifications and the things that they want, then they'll take you. And in that aspect, I give him his respect. But at the same time, when I'm sitting there and I'm seeing my manager manage and market everybody else just as strongly as me, I mean, I'm sitting there wondering, what the hell am I paying this guy for? You know, I pay you to make me money and to get me bookings. And for the most part, I mean, he just was not doing that. And so that was kind of like the initial falling out between me and him. And it wasn't a bad falling out. It was still pretty civil. I mean, it was like, hey, I understand, but I just don't feel comfortable with you promoting me and being my manager when you have all these other guys that you're doing the same thing with. And it was kind of the same thing to WWE and anywhere else that he was trying to get you work with. So, I mean, my basic thoughts on him is that, he's a great guy. If you're looking to get an intro in the business and you kind of want to get a shot at being seen, then, I say, then, deal with him. But for me, it just wasn't very fruitious to continue my relationship on a managerial level with him, because, I mean, basically I was getting, I felt like I was more working for him than him working for me. And in that type of relationship, I just wasn't comfortable. I mean, I want to make money in this business. I want to get booked. I want to have the ability to say that, I make a career pro wrestling. And, there'll always be 1,000 things like, oh, well, nobody's making money doing this, and you should be thankful and you should be beholden. I'm like, fuck that. I should be thankful. I mean, I'm the one that's going out there getting my ass kicked. I'm the one that's going out there taking the bumps. I'm the guy that's going through the hurt and the pain and having to deal with the aches and pains when I go home and put my ass on the line. And for you to devalue that and say that, oh, well, I can get anybody to do that and everybody's doing that, then that's bullshit. I'm a pro wrestler, and I respect pro wrestling, and I respect pro wrestlers and what they do, and my fellow pro wrestlers and what they do. And I'm not a piece of meat either. I'm not going to be, just because everybody else is doing it doesn't make it acceptable to me. But I mean, like I said, as a entity to try to get you seen and maybe get a boost in your career, then maybe he's a good guy to go to. But I just think in our relationship, the way it was going, I don't think it was working out that way.
Now, eventually, how and when did you, break away from Bassman and start working at PW?
After 01, I started taking a lot more indie bookings everywhere, including Ring of Honor and a lot of other places. And basically, I just kind of made up my mind that, I was going to go out there and just do what I want to do, and that's pro wrestle. And I'm going to try to make as much money as I can. And I mean, you hear indie guys all the time. They're just not making the dough they should, and they don't. They drive 6 hours for $25 paydays, and I respect that, and I understand that. But I had resigned myself that I'm going to go out there, I'm going to bust my ass, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to work so hard that they're going to give me the price that I want, and they're going to give me what I asked for. And normally what I would do is I do like an intro deal. Like I'd say, listen, you can pay me this much now, but if you really like my work and you want to bring me back, then this is what I would like to charge, and plus transportation and stuff like that. And a lot of promoters, they go for it. Like, okay, we'll give the kid a shot. It's fair enough. And like when I went to a new company or federation, I tried to bust my ass and work as hard as possible, make the biggest impression as possible as I could. And then, the second time I came in, say, hey, if you want to bring me back in, if you feel I'm worth it to your company to bring me back in, then this is what I would like. And that's kind of like the doctrine that I took on, and the doctrine I continue to take on. And then, of course, 01, I started booking myself into 01 with Bassman, and he took great reserve with that. He didn't like that at all. And that's another aspect of, I felt was kind of like an overly controlling personality, where like, 01 wanted me, like you said, they'll take what they want. And, he was pissed off that guys were getting booked into 01 and from California, and it wasn't through him. And, pretty much I just was like, I was indifferent to it. I was like, okay, and I knew he was hot about that. And then we did a Grove show, and he asked me to come in this after I'd been working, Ring of Honor and some other indies. And he said, hey, I want to put you in a three-way dance with B-Boy and Kazarian. So we did this three-way dance, and we goofed off a little bit, but I did the Olay kick, and it hit a guardrail, and it hit a fan in the face. But at the same time, the guardrails weren't hooked together, and I didn't know this. And normally, when you have guardrails set up around a ring, you hook them together. It doesn't make it, I still personally feel a little bit at fault for it, but if I had known, I would have never done it. Bassman had taken it that I was trying to ruin his company, that I was out to get him. And he kind of takes on this, that's the dual side of his personality, that if you're not with him, then you must be against him. And you're the enemy and all this stuff. And pretty much, he went off and went on this tirade, you're trying to get me sued and throw it out, and you're trying to destroy my company. And I could give a shit about, all that. Like, what good would destroying his company do for me? It really had no effect on me at that point. He brought up all these examples of why I was trying to do it, and how I'm this and that, and pretty much demonized me to an extent that I just said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. We agreed to maybe go have a talk over lunch and try to hammer things out. I sent him a time. He said he couldn't make it. He sent me a time. I couldn't make it. I was gone. We sent time back and forth, and then eventually we just kind of lost contact. And I mean, now I know that he probably readily despises me. And really, I mean, that's fine. I mean, he can despise me all he wants. But I mean, at the same time, I knew that in that relationship I couldn't exist within what he wanted and be beholden to him for everything that I get in pro wrestling. I mean, this is my career, and I'm going to take control of it. I'm going to do what I want with it, and it's my ball to carry, and I'm not going to wait on him when he's trying to market 22 million other guys that he has working for him to get me the work and to get me doing the things that I did. If I did, then I definitely wouldn't be making the money or doing the things that I'm doing now.
How did you find out they were changing your name and gimmick in 01 from Samoa Joe to King Joe, and what did you think of the King Joe gimmick?
This is sort of when Hashimoto had begun wanting all foreigners to have some type of wacky gimmick. When I came in for the second Fire Festival, that's when he changed the name. He said, well, we're going to put you as, we need a new name for you. So I sat down in the office with him before the tournament, and I go, well, what do you want? He's like, King Joe. Fine. Sounds like a plan. King Joe it is. Paint your face? No problem. Paint my face. Crazy style? Yeah, crazy style. No problem. Buchy, no worries. So, I mean, it wasn't a big change or stretch, kind of change the outfit a little bit, put on the face paint, and he wanted me to do more of an Islander gimmick. And at the time, Rick was marketing a good guy, Skulu, King Adamo. And, King Adamo does the traditional Samoan Savage gimmick, barefoot, headbutts galore and stuff. And Hashimoto liked it because it was gimmicky, it was cool. And they put us as the Samoan Kings, the tag team together. So it was pretty much a weird contrast of styles because I didn't change the way I wrestled. I still wrestled the way I wrestled. And then Ben was my crazy savage cousin, King Adamo, who worked with me. And then eventually, with 01, they wanted that. They wanted the gimmick. They wanted the wild Samoan Savage. And Hashimoto told me, he sat me down and we were having dinner and drinking like we always do after every 01 show. Drinking quite heavily actually, and he's like, Joe-san, please, you gain maybe 400 pounds, no shoes, good headbutts. Well, I told him not so many words. Nah, I don't think I'm fucking gonna do that. And I think Hashimoto realized that too, and I always had Otani and Tanaka kind of fighting on my side because they were always real adamant on using me. They always enjoyed wrestling me and doing matches with me. So Otani was like, he get in arguments with Hashimoto about it. No, leave Joe. Joe's fine, and they bicker back and forth about it. And I think it became such a big debate point that they finally just said, you know what, maybe we just won't use them as often. So that's when my booking was 01 tapered off.
So that's basically why they stopped booking you?
For the most part. I mean, Hashimoto wanted the 400-pound Samoan Savage to do headbutts, and I wasn't really going to do it. So, I mean, that's what kind of inevitably led to me not being booked in 01 so much.
What was the 01 locker room like?
Awesome. Zero One Locker was awesome. At the time when I was there, the regular Gaijin crew, the American crew, was myself, Carino, CW, Low-Key, Spanky, Kazarian, Homicide on occasion. Well, Homicide actually, I never toured with him, but then Josh Daniels and Guillotine Legrand, Mac Legrand, and honestly, I don't think any Gaijin have ever had as much fun on Japanese tours as we did. Man, we tore it up. I mean, you know, whenever we did Samurai TV tapings, I mean, Samurai TV loves 01 Gaijins because they never know. Oh, and Sylvester and Predator, they were the other two, who eventually, Sylvester especially, this became part of the big group of wackiness. Samurai TV, though, they loved it when the 01 Gaijin were going to come do interviews because they never knew what the fuck to expect. And Josh Dempsey and Sean McCulley were in this crew too, and Josh Dempsey, which is a very big sticking point for us all. Now, it's a shame that you guys can't get the Samurai TV interviews that some of the interview stuff that we did for Samurai TV before shows, because it's probably some of the funniest, most hilarious shit that the Japanese never understood that you will ever see, including it for those Super Trooper fans out there. Me and Carino playing cat game before the big pay-per-view was me and King Adamo versus Carino and Jeff Jarrett. The best part about it was that me and Carino didn't smarten up Jeff Jarrett that we were going to play cat game. So there we are sitting at this big dinner table and we're doing our cross interview. Carino looks over at me and goes, "Meow Joe, don't think for one second you're going to beat us, Meow. Meow, I know you're a badass guy, Meow, and I know that you think that you can, you got real strong kicks, Meow. Now, don't get me wrong. Jeff Jarrett had the biggest look of puzzlement that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he did not know what the fuck we were doing. I turn around and look at Carino. I go, Meow, hold on a second there, Steve. Meow, I know that your reputation speaks for itself, and Jeff Jarrett, Meow, you're a pretty famous wrestler over there too, Meow, Meow." And the best part is we have this translator in Japanese behind us translating this live because we're live on the air. So he's like, "Sukunayoなんです。Now, He was fucking baffled. The other good one too is that there's always these two cute little Japanese schoolgirls, and they're holding up like the cards for the upcoming show. So there we are sitting at a table. It's me, Carino, and Loki, and then they pan away from us and they show these girls holding up the card for the big event. So, you know, there they are holding up the card for the big event, and there's me, Steve, and Loki. So they cut away from us and they show the girls. And there's the girls, and they cut back to us, and there's me, Steve, and Loki holding up our room keys, going 427. I mean, and like the Japanese didn't know what to make of it. But the best of all was when Josh Dempsey came to town to cut promos. Because Josh Dempsey, because of the boxing, there's no real filter between what comes out of his brain and what comes out of his mouth. So it's pretty much any thought that comes up here shoots straight out of his mouth. So here's Josh. Baby, I'm Big JD Dempsey, baby. I fuck Japan. First off, fuck Japan. I'm here for your yen and your women. Fucking Japanese guy, fuck you, Hashimoto. What's up, bitch? You're a bitch. Ogawa, you're a bitch. In the interim, we're all behind camera fucking dying. I mean, and like, who's his manager, Sean McCulley, Justin Brothers, his manager, just sitting over there just fucking shaking his head like this. Dempsey, the world will have a whole new appreciation for Josh Dempsey. You just hear his fucking promo work. So we were like that. So Dempsey on Samurai TV, he also has a nasty habit of accidentally beating up the hosts on the show. And he doesn't even mean to. Like, and the Samurai TV guy, it's a big rib on the fucking host, because the host is fucking terrified of Dempsey. Because every time he comes on, Dempsey knocks something over or pushes him down by accident, and he gets fucking hurt bad. So here comes Josh Dempsey, and he breaks onto the stage like, "Fucking what's up, Samurai TV, baby? Big JD Dempsey, dog. Fucking clown. For what? Fucking don't stare at me, fucking Japanese guy. I'll kill you, dog. What's up, bitches? Fuck Japan. Yeah, dog." And he's just going off. he like accidentally like bumps like the host. The host like falls off the set and like into a wall and like busts his fucking head open. And then this other time he breaks on the set, they're like selling this Hashimoto doll, this big Hashimoto doll. Like, oh, you know, Hashimoto doll. And then here comes, and then the producer goes, send Dempsey, and like the host is like fucking terrified, like looking at Dempsey. Here comes Dempsey storming out and said, fuck Hashimoto, what the fuck this doll? Like, what's up, dog? I'm fucking fat Hashimoto, I'm a fucking bitch. Starts fucking tearing the doll apart, ripping off the arms, and he's throwing the pieces as he rips them apart over his shoulder. As he's throwing over his shoulder, it's fucking beaning the host in the head. One being Megumi Kudo. So I'm starting to feel fucking bad because I think Kudo's gonna get up and like beat the shit out of Dempsey because that would have been awesome. So like he's like throwing these fucking pieces and the Hashimoto head hits the Kudo in the head, and the other host is getting like beamed in the face with legs and shit. It's fucking, what's up, dog? Dempsey, flips off the camera and fucking leaves. The best ever though is
you were telling a story.
Oh, so yeah, the best JD Dempsey moment of all time is it's a wrap up to Samurai TV. So they line us all up, and we're supposed to say something to the effect of 5 seconds because they're rolling the credits, and it's supposed to be something like, you know, come out and support me, good fight. You know, whatever, you know, kind of like the prototypical, like just really average, like, you know. But they made the mistake of starting with Dempsey. And instead of a 5-second, you know, what's up, baby? I'm gonna knock him out, you know, something like that, Dempsey goes on a fucking tirade to end all tirades, which ends like this: fuck Japan, fuck all y'all bitches, I'll kill you all, I hate Japan, you all fucking, fuck you, fuck Hashimoto, fuck Ogawa, what's up, you bitches, dog, what's up, you don't wanna fucking fight me, you fucking bitch, I fucking hate you, fucking your bitch, fuck Ogawa, fuck Hashimoto, fuck that guy, fuck Otani, dog, fuck it, fuck all y'all, your punks, your tricks, fucking bitch ass niggas, what? And fucking goes right off the air. We're both standing there, me, Carino, I don't know, fucking somebody else on the line. And the whole time he's doing this promo, you just see us like this, just red face, like. Finally, cameras go off, we fucking lose it. Carino's on the ground. I'm damn near ran out the building. I'm fucking dying. I turn around, I go, what the fuck, Carino? I don't know. I go, did he just call Hashimoto Ogawa bitch ass niggas on TV? I look at Daniel, what? Fuck it, dude. Fuck them. They are. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. Fuck, I don't want to off the fuck out. And it just, I'm telling you, just words cannot do the man justice. They really, really can't.
What was like the partying and the prank scene like in Japan? I know before you actually told the Koei Sato cell phone story. Have any other good ones?
Oh yeah. Okay, like I said, the 01 Gaijin, at the time at least, we had a real knack for having a good time when we were on the road, so yeah, we partied a lot. But aside from the rampages through Roppongi and the hostess bars and many free complimentary drinks by the fine sponsors in Japan, yeah, pranks. Fuck, so many. Well, the one being Otani, who, and there's another character who really cannot be done justice. At one point, we were out drinking one night, and there's Jetto, a younger wrestler in 01, and Otani thought it would be funny that night to shove toothpicks in Jet's head while we all sat at dinner and got drunk. So there's Otani sitting at dinner, shoving toothpicks into Jet's head. And Jet, calmly crying to himself as he had his hands behind his back and was allowing Otani to stick toothpicks in his head. And we're fucking flabbergasted. We're all staring at Otani like he's a nut job. We're just like, unbelievable. Sticking his head. I mean, just you try. No, I can't. Jet's, no, okay, he's okay. And, you know, coming aside. Sorry. Shove a toothpick in Jet's head. Which was funny in itself, until Otani busts out his lighter and proceeded to light each toothpick on fire and sing happy birthday to himself. That was a good one. Then there was the Great Water War of, I can't even remember the city. I think it was like it was either Matsuyama or like Hakata or Fukuoka or something. But I'm walking out of the hotel. Well, I'm walking back into the hotel, and I meet Carino and Guillotine Legrand walking in too, and they're just kind of off by themselves, and I'm like, hey, what's up, fellas? I'm gonna go out and get some food. You guys want to go with me? And normally, Carino, we're on the road, he's always down for hanging out and going to get some food. But at this point, he giggled like a fucking girl, and Charlie did too. He goes, no, I know it's cool, around. Well, what's up? Where you guys going? What's going on? You guys going somewhere? He's like, oh, no, we're just gonna, and they giggle and run up fucking stairs. So I go in the lobby and go up to my room real quick, grab, I think I grabbed like some cash or something and walk back downstairs. I get to the door and I just sense something's fucking wrong. And like I'm about to take a step outside the door of the lobby and I just go, this is not a good idea. Something's up. Something was weird about Carino. And I can sense that something's weird about Carino. So I step back in. Here comes Josh Daniels, walking back from the hotel, cursing to himself and sopping wet. Josh, what happened? Fucking asshole threw a water balloon at me from the top of the fucking hotel. Oh shit. And I go, really? He goes, yeah? And Josh stands at the door, and sure enough, as Josh standing at the door, here come 3 more. He dives inside the fucking hotel, and I'm laughing my ass off because Carino was basically setting me up. So I go, all right. So then, all of a sudden, I'm sitting out there. Here comes Van Sack Acid, and Van's walking down. He's also drenched. He's like, so fucking asshole, so why are you on the top floor? All right, fucking feel horrible. Hey, all right, listen, come on, guys, come on. They're out to get me. And really? Well, they did a good job getting us. Yeah, but they're out to get me, trust me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to sneak out the back. We're going to go down the corner store, get some more water balloons, get some payback. They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're going to pay back, fuck yeah. Now, Josh Daniels is the type of person who really is not a vindictive person and hasn't really done a rib in his life, but he's also the new guy on the tour, so he gets the most shit. So here we go to the local AM/PM, which are in Japan, believe it or not. We get some water balloons, we go to my hotel room, we fill up about like 25, cart them over to Carino's room and set them down the front door. We send Josh Daniels as an emissary to knock on the door because they think that Josh Daniels is going to knock up there and do his usual like stomping mad fit. Oh, you guys are assholes, throwing water balloons at me, and then they all get a laugh and maybe throw another water balloon at Josh. Which they were getting ready to throw another water balloon at Josh when they opened the door. So Josh knocks on the door, and of course we see him look through the peephole, and then we hear giggling, and then we hear him open the door, and like I saw Carino set up with a water balloon to hit Josh again. Little did Carino know me and Van were behind the other side of the door. Proceeded to commando roll dives, and we chugged water balloons in the room. Now Japanese rooms are fucking small, so there's your door, and the room's about this much wider than the door. But what we didn't know was it wasn't just Carino and Charlie in the room, it was also CW and Loki and a bunch of other guys. So in the process of absolutely douching Carino with water balloons, we managed to get CW, Mac LeGrand, Loki, and everybody else involved too. So now they're chasing us down the hall with water balloons in tow as we run to the other side of the floor to get into my room. So we all dive into my room and lock the door. We're outside of our door kicking on it, begging for vengeance. And we decide to barricade ourselves in there for the next, however long it takes for them to go away, knowing that sooner or later we're going to have to face them. So we're barricaded in this fucking room, and we're trying to think what the fuck we're going to do. All right, what are we going to do? So finally they fucking leave. And we're like, all right, coast clear. So we look outside, coast clear. We filled up our water balloons. Now we're stalking the halls of this hotel with water balloons in tow, looking for CW, Carino, Mac, and Loki. So the rooms kind of went like this. Carino's room was at, the halls intersected like this, and my room's here. Carino's room is all the way on the other side of this hall, and then right at the corner junction is the elevators. So here I go. We're walking out slowly but surely. We're looking for them, they're looking for us. We're looking for them, we're looking for us. Now, we didn't know Loki was in the room until later because Loki calls in my room and is like, what the hell's going on out there? And I go, what do you mean, man? He's like, sounds like something was going on out there. And I go, nothing. He's like, well, what's up? He's like, I'm like, oh, nothing. He's like, well, why don't you come to my room and let me know what's going on? And I'm like, you fucker, you're in on it, aren't you? He's like, what do you mean? I'm not in on anything. I'm like, you fucking bastard, you're with them, aren't you? He's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what's going on right now. And he's like, started giggling with us. I'm like, you don't laugh for shit, so obviously you're fucking, and I hung up on him. Fucking bastard, try to get me. So then here we go. We come to the intersection, like doing like the Scooby-Doo crawl. We get around the corner. Right as we pass the corner, like we're going towards Carino's room, like, you know, just to see what's up. The elevator doors open, and here's CW, here's Carino, here's all the boys in the fucking elevator. And they all got water balloons, and it's fucking on. We're in the middle of a hotel hallway having the biggest water balloon fight known to fucking man. CW runs out. He'll fucking deny this, but I know what happened. CW runs out. Being the professional baseball player he was, does a slide, tries to throw me out at second. But as it comes off against his fingernail was too long, explodes the balloon in his hand, he fucking drenches himself. He had me too. I was like, oh! As he does that, I just sat there, I grabbed the water balloon, I'm like, oh, boom! I can get him. No, I mean, there's just water balloons flying everywhere. I mean, this hotel was fucking drenched. Finally, we all run back to our respective rooms. And now, like, the Japanese are starting to slowly but surely come up. And the first guy is Hirotaki Yokoi, shoot fighter, pro wrestler, generally a really cool guy. Yokoi is wondering, like, what's going on? He's like, you know, he sees, like, all the action. He's like, oh, what's happening? So we tell Yokoi. So Yokoi's like, okay. Now, Yokoi's never done a rib in his life. So we give Yokoi 4 water balloons. He puts them on his back, and he walks up to Karina's room and knocks on the door. Karina's like, oh, Yokoi, quick, come inside, Yokoi. No! Yokoi gets him. Now they're really fucking pissed. So finally, after a couple more water balloon fights in the hall, the manager comes up and, you know, he's looking to find out who's doing it. We're all hiding in our rooms like fucking children and giggling. And watching this manager like walk up and down the halls, like picking up water balloon scraps, feeling how soaked and wet the carpet is. Yeah, we almost got kicked out of this hotel. We all look like assholes. So there we go. So finally, Karina calls her, all right, truce, fucker. We're going to go to the festival tonight. All right, truce. So we call this big truce. There's this big festival going on. So we go to this festival down in the square, and there's like thousands of people all around. People are dancing, and fucking drums are playing. It's bitching. And we meet up with them at this big fountain. And Karina looks at me and says, all right, that was a good one, guys. That was pretty fun. Yeah, but truce, right? Truce. Josh Daniels, though, has decided that he can't trust them, and that he's brought a water balloon just in case. I go, Josh, chill out. You can trust him. He's like, oh, I can't trust him, dude. Fuck him. So we walk over there, and then there's Josh, and then we're like that. Carino gives me the look. He goes, and I go, what? He goes, Josh. What? Josh. What about him? Throw him in the fucking fountain. There's this giant fountain in the middle of this fucking thing. Josh Daniels is gonna kill me for telling the story because it's awesome. So I'm like, oh, okay, come on. He's like, no, fuck it. Throw him in the fucking. He's the new guy. Throw him in the fucking fountain. All right. So we go, all right, guys, we'll see you guys later. All right, high fives all around. We're walking away. So as we're walking away, here comes Loki and CW. They fucking grab Josh's arms. Josh is like, oh, fuck you. No, what the fuck? He's flipping out. I turn and he's like, Joe, help. And I go, all right. Picked up his leg. He's like, no! Took him over, hucked him into the fountain. 2,000 Japanese people on the fountain pop. They're laughing their ass off. Josh Daniels emerges from the water like fucking Rambo. It was great. Water balloon in hand. Hucks to that low key with his super cat reflexes, does like a Matrix. It was the greatest fucking thing ever. It was awesome. Avoids the water balloon passes by low key's head, hits this poor Japanese man, about 60 years old, in the fucking crotch and just wets his pants to shit. Guy's sitting there eating a ramen bowl. Shakes his head, walks off. We all look at Josh. Hey, nice going, asshole. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Oh my God, sir. How do you say sorry? Simumasen. What? He felt like shit all day. And then, you know, we made him take a cab home by himself while he was all wet. So it wasn't that bad.
How did you end up working for Ring of Honor?
Chris Daniels and mainly Chris and a couple other guys said, you know, you should bring in Samoa Joe. And Gabe was like, it's a California fly-in, you know. I'm a real cheap promoter for Ring of Honor, and I can't fly people in from California. So, I was kidding, man. He just gave you a raise. Fuck it. No. Gabe's like, well, we'll bring him in for a one-time thing. He's like, I want the same match that they had at King of Indies. That's like, kind of like the same thing I want. So I said, all right, cool. Well, he's like, it's going to be like a one-time thing, and, you know, I don't know, like, you know, whatever, you know, I can't really afford a lot of fly-ins from California because Ring of Honor just started up. I said, all right, whatever, cool. Came in, did the match. I think he got a better reaction than what he was hoping for. And after that, I remember Gabe kind of walked up to me and said, hey, you know, I want to use you for a couple more shots. And I said, oh, sure, cool, whatever. You know, as long as I'm free, I'll be here.
What were your initial impressions of the company?
I liked it because it was a lot of the same guys that I was hanging out with and that I liked from King of Indies and like from other indies I was working, like the King of Indies weekend was really fun because a lot of the guys from there, like we still were getting along and still talking to each other and keeping tabs on each other, excuse me, outside of the tournament. So like I was still talking to AJ, I was still talking to Brian, still talking to Key, Chris, all those guys. And when I got there, it felt like, hey, I was there in a locker room filled with all my friends. So I mean, it was really cool. And all the guys, they were there to work hard, and all the guys were really accommodating, and it still pretty much is that way in the Ring of Honor locker room. It's a real enjoyable place to be.
Memories of your match with Loki at Glory by Honor?
Standard fare. I mean, I remember Key came in with a hurt ankle. And this time he was in it, I wasn't. And I mean, we just kind of looked at each other, and pretty much it's just like, all right, let's go out there and give them what they want. And we went out there and proceeded to beat the shit out of each other for a while, and people enjoyed it. So, I mean, there's not really a lot of fond memories you can have from something like that. But I mean, it's kind of how it turned out.
Did you think ROH would just be another indie, or did you think it was a promotion that could grow at the time when you first came in?
I know, it's a tough question. I mean, I'd seen so many, like I said with UPW and stuff, I'd seen so many indies not fail, but like falter. And, I'd worked with Epic and I saw that crash. And like, I really didn't have a lot of faith in indie companies at the time. And for the most part, I'm still a touch jaded to a lot of companies out there, the ones running right now. And, I definitely saw they had a roster that could put on some damn good wrestling shows and entertain some people, but then again, running a successful business is a lot more than just that.
Memories of the 45-minute draw you did at Final Battle 2002. I think it was yourself, Dragon, Low-Key, and Carino.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember Carino yelling at us to stop hitting him, and that it was pretty cool. Brian and I. It's clockwork. It's never hard working with him. Wrestling against Low-Key is always real competitive, and he has a tendency to bring out a lot of fire and competitiveness in myself, and I think I do the same with him, and the same with Brian too. And then Carino's just Carino. He's just a blast to be in there with, and we had worked a ton in Japan at that time, and we kind of knew each other real well too. So I mean, it was a fun match to be in for the participants involved. So I mean, it was pretty cool match to be involved in.
What was it like working Bryan Danielson? You worked him twice at Revenge of the Prophecy and the first anniversary show.
Like I said, it's clockwork. It's easy. What a lot of people don't know is like I can sit there and Bryan's one of the few guys who can sit there and I'll give him a nod, and that's all we'll talk about, And people trip out like, really? No, yeah, that's about it. And then we just go in there and wrestle and figure it out as we go along. And that to me is the funnest form of wrestling that there is,
How did you find out you were getting the ROH title?
Gabe told me. He told a few other people first, kind of what the idea by there, but
Were you surprised?
I was. Gabe kind of, after a few matches I had this kind of grand idea. He's like, yeah, we want something different in a champion, and people wouldn't expect it. I don't think a lot of people did. I think at the time they were wary of me because of the low-key matches and stuff, like, but I didn't think that they really thought that they would give me the belt and let me run with it as long as it's going. So I was surprised, but at the same time, I was accepting of it. I was like, cool. I hope we can make this happen, make this go well.
So you would say you're definitely surprised that your title reign's gone this long?
Yeah, I am.
Memories of the match with Xavier where you won the belt?
It was cool. Xavier was really, really messed up. I mean, he had a concussion. I don't know if it was from last Ring of Honor show, from an earlier show. So, I mean, I know Xavier was pretty banged up going in, and I mean, it really was just a matter of just trying to get through it without, seriously injuring him. And I mean, but he went out there and he busted his ass still, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And I mean, winning the title the first time, it was a cool moment, and if I had known then what I know it would have turned into now, I don't know, it might have been cooler, but at the time I was just like, cool, hey, something to add to the resume, but obviously it's turned into a bit more than that.
Did you think the belt was weak at all after his title reign?
No. No, not at all. I think the belt hadn't really gained any identity yet. I think Ring of Honor was still in its infancy, and I think it couldn't have looked weak because it really hadn't truly established itself yet. It was still in the stages of trying to get going, and I mean, there was two great champions in Key and Xavier, but I just didn't think that a lot of fans had as much exposure to Ring of Honor at the time as they do now. Like, we're, a lot more fans that get Ring of Honor than there were back then. So.
You started using the choke as your finish. Was that your idea, or was that Gabe's, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I had thrown the choke out there in the six-man from All-Star Extravaganza as a finish, and I just really was looking for something different. And I thought, well, hell, rear naked choke, it's just a great move, and I knew it would take forever to get over, because I mean, honestly, chokes and neck locks and stuff like that really aren't emphasized at all in modern day pro wrestling, or at least at the time. I think now they're kind of garnering a little bit more respect. But then, it came a lot from training too, because I know, I've been choked out a few times and it fucking sucks, and I just thought, what, just why not go with it? And that was the hardest thing in the infancy of the title reign, was that I wanted to use it, and Gabe was very supportive of it, because after he saw it, he was like, yeah, that's something cool, I think we can work with that. But I knew it would need building, and I knew it would need a bit of time for the crowd to take to it, especially when you're at the time in Ring of Honor, when you're in a fed where you're going to see every spectacular fucking move known to man, and then you have your champion just going out there and choking people to pass out. I mean, it's a touch anticlimactic at times, but I think we needed to build it a bit more, and I think it's been done successfully, and I like it, and I'll continue to use it.
Memories of your first match with Homicide at Do or Die?
That was my first one.
That wasn't your first match with Homicide?
Well, you even worked for this company?
You had your first singles match?
Yeah, first singles match. No, first singles match was actually in Boston, Scramble Madness.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am right.
First title match.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, keep changing it until it sounds right. It was cool. Homicide's the type of guy who wants to leave something special in every match, and so we're trying to think. Then he's like, I want to, we need something crazy, and we need something crazy, and I think he kind of heard what was going to happen in the match before us with the 30-foot double moonsaults, and I didn't know about that, and I was a little pissed off when I did find out about it, but not at the guys, but just at the general booking of it. I'm like, well, that's great. And the exact words out of my mouth, the gay last was like, oh, great, I'm going to go out there and shoot him now, So, I was like, well, it's something that probably people haven't seen, but probably has kind of like an air of I want to say mystery, but a move they've heard of and they've probably seen in theory, but have never really seen in practice. So I was watching this Japanese cartoon, right? And I remember they used a muscle buster, and I went, kind of a nifty move, and to pull it off. And then, I don't know, as it progressed, I'm like, I can hit this motherfucker from the third, I'm pretty sure. And then, I remember I kind of pitched it out there, and dude looked at me and yo, what are you talking about? But then, that kind of was the birth of that. And, the match itself, I think it was the first time that you had a main event that just, like a lot of the former main events were spectacles just in athleticism. Just guys just going out there and just wrestling. The Keys and the Dragons, the I don't know if London and Michael Shane had happened. Just stuff that was really great looking. And of course, like the first, like the 16-minute endurance match for the inaugural title reign. And I think that was the first time that you just felt a lot of drama around a title match. And I think with just in general, I think there was more of just like a feeling more than just they weren't just watching the moves. They were really concerned about what was going on, and as far as title match, was really concerned with just the whole like struggle and the battle. And I think that's why it came off so well.
What was it like working with Dan Moffat at Wrestle Rave the night after his father passed away?
That was, God. Moff honestly has one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. I mean, he came in to the locker room with a smile on his face, and like, I go, you need to be home. And he's like, nah. I go, no, you do. You need to be home. You need to be with your wife and your kids and your family. He's like, nah. He's like, I was there. I was with them all day, and I was with them when my father died. Like the whole family was there, and from the way it sounded, his father had a beautiful send-off. The whole family was there, and they were all together, and he got to say farewell the way he wanted to. And he told me, he said the last thing his father told him was like, shouldn't you be at a wrestling show? And I gotta hand it to him. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could sit there and convince myself to go work. And I know Danny. Danny loved his father a lot. His dad got him started in the business, and after the match, I just remember, man, we came all backstage, and Danny finally he broke down, and I remember all was there, all his friends and family, all the guys close to him, Key and D Homicide and Monster Mac and guys like that, and all the New York boys and all the locker room, and just like that's something that's admirable on so many levels. It's ridiculous, and I mean for that alone, I mean Moff will always have my respect, because he's a guy who loves what he does and loves his business, loves his sport, and his family and his father did. And he uses pro wrestling instead of it being something that would have hindered him. I mean, he used it as something to help him deal with the situation. And, that night still, to me, was just, that was the biggest compliment everybody's ever paid to me. To show up in the ring after your father died.
You wrestled Paul London in his last Ring of Honor match. Any memories from that?
Yeah, Paul was a guy who he made a big impact in Ring of Honor. I mean, he's like, you can't ask for a better babyface in the company than that. I mean, he came in and he captured the hearts and minds of the people. And the match with Paul wasn't the greatest thing that we could have put together, but I know Paul was really concerned about getting hurt, and he didn't want to, and I was too, and at the time I just told him, I said, you know what, like, we'll take this, we'll go out there, we'll do what we can, and just, for the most part, trying to deliver the best we could without putting too much at risk, and I totally respect that. That's fine. I know he worked that hard to get where he was going, and the last thing you want is some freak injury to mess that up for you. So I mean, he's doing good now, so more power to him. I hope he continues to do well, because he's genuinely a good guy, and he'll do well for himself.
Memories of the match with Christopher Daniels at Glory of Honor too. You mentioned it early on in the interview, but
that was just a fun match. I mean, that's a match where you just felt on. I mean, me and Chris both, we just felt on. I remember going through with it. I mean, the prophecy feud between me and him was building, and kind of just came to fruition nicely between us two. And that's just one of those matches where it just clicked, and it went real well, and you can't really ask for much more as far as like how everything just flowed and was paced and went nicely. It was a sprint, but it felt good.
Memories of your first match against Jay Briscoe at Tradition Continues.
That's a match that I really enjoy, because going in, they said that Jay was sort of a hometown boy out there, even though from Delaware or whatever, raises chickens. So I remember going in, they were kind of indifferent to Jay, but I remember going out, they were ready for him to win it, and you know, that's what we wanted, and it was a big sense of pride for me because you know, like at the end, you know, it's hard to explain you finding pride in somebody telling you to fucking die. But at the end of the night, I had people telling me to fucking die, and I don't think I could have felt more wonderful.
Did you think the Briscoes program would turn out as good as it did?
You know, honestly, yeah. Because I mean, the Briscoes can wrestle their ass off, and I just think because we're a tape-based business at Ring of Honor, that you know they hadn't seen the stuff, so it's hard to get excited about a feud like that unless you've seen what was going on, and you know, tapes were coming out very badly paced at that time, but you know. Conversely to now, that's $5, kid. So yeah, like you know, basically what you had were the good majority of the fans reading about what the feud was about and actually watching it. So you know, pretty much when you read something like that, you're like, oh, so what, Jay Briscoe, you know, where'd he come from? You know, where's the heat in that? And I think that's why it wasn't as well received. But then when At Our Best came around, when we had, you know, our largest attendance, I think people were like, oh fuck, this is what we were missing, and then they kind of maybe went back and saw it. And I think the best series of matches that I had with consistent opponents were with the Briscoes. I mean, I think the tag with AJ and me versus the Briscoes, that's one of my favorite tag matches I've ever been a part of, and the At Our Best cage match, which definitely exceeded both of our expectations, and yeah, that was bad. And the Tradition Continues match and stuff like that, and even Final Battle with Mark. I mean, I think it really, as far as storytelling goes, I think it told a good story throughout the entire program, and I really enjoyed being involved in it.
You talked about tag matches. You had 3, one with AJ as a partner, one with Bryan Danielson, and one with Jerry Lynn. Which did you like the best?
AJ. I think that was one that it clicked. I think the world of AJ Styles as a wrestler and as an athlete especially. I mean, the guy just athletic as shit, man. He's strong as an ox, and whatever tall tale fables you can put around him. But no, I mean, it just was a match that I think it just clicked well, and I really enjoyed, and it was a lot of fun to work, and it was even more fun to be a part of, and you know, and I think all 4 men just wrestled their ass off in that match, and I just really enjoyed it.
Did you have any problems with putting the Briscoes over while you were champion?
No. Why should I? I mean, Briscoes, I mean, if I did, then where do we go? I mean, it's a pretty shitty program from there. You know, there's no build up, and it's just, you know, I think that it kept it going, and it gave us a reason to be doing what we were doing in there.
You had one singles match with AJ Styles. What are your memories of that?
That was fun. That was great. AJ came in super enthused. It was the first time me and him worked singles, and you know, he just was really, really excited about the match, and he really, really wanted to go out there and do something different and have some fun with it, and I think we did. I mean, I loved it. I think the whole back end ending of that match just came out great, and you know, I was really, really satisfied with how it all went about, and you know, and when you're in there with AJ Styles, it's going to look good, whether you like it or not.
You briefly mentioned your match with Mark Briscoe. On that show, you guys went on actually before intermission with a world title match. Do you have any problem with that?
Oh yeah, I did. Gabe told me. And like at the time, I was like, well, because there wasn't a lot of confidence in the program at the time. With Mark, in a match with Mark, he's like, oh, but people know the outcome, and people know that. And I just came off the Jay match, and I was like, well, people knew that. And I think I turned him in, and I told Gabe, logistically, it was right because they wanted to do the separate cards, and I can understand that. But I was very adamant, like, you know, give me a fucking shot. Let me try to make this work on a sub main, because I think we knew Muda was going to be the main, because a lot of people, you know, their appearance, and yeah, you know, Great Muda's done a few things in his career. Yeah, just a few. No, so I remember that week with Gabe. I was like, just give it a shot. Let me run this as a semi-main. Let me run this towards the top of the card, and I'll surprise you. And like when he did, and I was like, but it actually worked out because Mark had worked a tag match earlier in the night against the SAT, and his knee was a fucking wreck. I mean, he was limping backstage through the curtain. I mean, Key and I were trying to pop his knee back into place. It was ugly. I mean, his knee was bad, and I give him the credit because he went out there and sucked it up and put on his best performance possible. And it's hardly even noticeable on the tape. I mean, a lot of people watched it; they had no idea how bad his knee was messed up. But I mean, he was like in pain, like wincing before he went out, and he went out there and got his drone going and put on that great match.
The All Japan guys made it clear, I think it was when they got to the building, they were basically coming for a vacation, but they ended up working hard on the show. What do you think made them work that hard?
Well, okay, I saw Miyamoto and Hanma back there, and they were pretty adamant on it being a vacation. And I was kind of pissed, personally, just from our side, because I was just like, yeah, that's not cool, whatever. A lot of people came here to see you, and they paid good money to see you guys. And we're not asking you to go out there and kill yourselves, but it would be nice if you went out there and at least put forth an effort. I mean, so for the most part, they felt it was going to be a very small indie event, maybe 200 fans. That they would hopefully black out, and then Samurai TV would shoot all up shots at the ceiling to hide the crowd. Commonly used trick whenever Samurai TV comes to the States. And so I made a comment to one of the All Japan guys, about it, and finally Muto came walking out when the show got started. And you heard kind of a rumbling in the crowd. He was sitting in the locker room the entire time, and I remember he walked out towards the curtain, towards me, and he goes, can I look? I go, oh, of course, Looked out the curtain, and he saw all these fans out there. At which point, in what little conversational Japanese I can decipher, he told his assistant to run to the bus and get the good gear. So he did, and I think at that point too, I think he mentioned to the guys that you need to come out here and do this, and a lot of the Ring of Honor guys too. I know like Punk and AJ and stuff were pretty teed themselves because we came here to bust our ass and work, and you guys should as well too, So when it came down to it, I think the All Japan guys were like, yeah, this is a good crowd, and when they felt the reception from the crowd. Especially for Hanma and Miyamoto, they're like, yeah, I think we should go out there and do what we do, and I think the fans are the biggest part of that. I think when they saw the fans there and they saw how appreciative and adamant they were to see the All Japan guys, that they realized, okay, we need to go out there and do our thing.
Memories of the Four Corner Survival at the second anniversary show with yourself, Loki, Whitmer, and Moff, where your hand was ripped open.
Oh yeah. Match was fun. It was a good match too. I hit an elbow suicida, and our infamous guardrails, which are fucking razor sharp, have taken many a victim, including Colt Cabana, and they got Justin pretty bad too, didn't they? Yeah.
And a couple of people.
Yeah. And, but yeah, so they're sheet metal, they're metal and they're sharp on the ends, and so here I come and I hit the elbow suicida and I dove through and proceeded to slice my hand down to here, and yeah, that sucked. So there I am, and I hit the elbow suicida, and there's a mass of bodies everywhere, and I look up and I see blood, and I see a lot of blood, and it's all over the floor, and it's some's on Moff and some's on Whitmer, and there's some on Loki's head. So I'm proceeding to look around and see who's bleeding. So I'm you're not bleeding, you're not bleeding, and you're not bleeding. The fuck? And I think you'll see, I'm literally staring at my hand, and I'm looking through this hole in my hand, and I'm like, that's fucking unbelievable. That is a deep fucking cut. And I'm not really like, and I should, and I'm not really cognizant that I'm like staring at my hand for a fucking while until like I watch the tape later, much to the behest of CM Punk, who's sitting there going, "Look at you, you're just fucking staring at it like an idiot, man, like asshole." So I'm sitting there staring at my hand, and I'm just like, that's fucking amazing how deep that is. I think it's in the fucking bone, just like, and yeah, so I'm bleeding all over the place. So then I'm sitting in the ring, and I think it was Hanson was ref for the match. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Hanson. I don't know. I know Hanson was out there at some point. So I tell the ref, give me some fucking tape so I can, stop the bleeding. And everybody's freaking out. And I can hear Gabe in the background like, like having a fucking fit, By the way, fans at home, if you've never seen a Gabe Sapolsky fit, it's fantastic. A lot of high-pitched screaming, clipboards being thrown. If you have any expensive lighting equipment, don't put it backstage, because he'll fucking Sammy Sosa that shit right off. It's great. He's fucking bleeding. He's fucking dead. And I can hear him from the ring. That's like the fucking sad part. So there I am, and so they hand me some tape, some regular tape. So I tape my 2 fingers together. I'm like, that's cool. But it's a fucked up tape job because blood everywhere and sliding and shit. So I tell her, I need some more tape. So every time they're handing me fucking tape, it's like a different version of tape. So then fucking somebody comes out with duct tape and hands it to me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't care. So I'm taping it and fucking trying to tear this shit, and I got duct tape in my hand. And then like another roll of tape comes out, and I'm like, where's the fucking athletic tape? That's what I need. And it's fucking electrical tape. And I'm doing wiring out here. I'm taping electrical tape in my hand. And by the end of the fucking match, I got this big hodgepodge of fucking like every kind of tape imaginable, scotch. I swear to God, somebody fucking passed me scotch tape, and I almost slapped the fucking person. I'm like, yeah, this is fucking funny, So I got this big wad of fucking sticky cloth on the end of my fucking hand. Finish the match, get backstage, and end up going to the hospital and getting some stitches and shit. Got stitched up here, and then I had a big hunk of skin taken off the bottom of my hand. But AJ Styles was nice enough to accompany for the rest of the night, and yeah, it sucked, but so was the way of the business.
You talked briefly about your match with Jay Briscoe, the steel cage match at Our Best. Were you ever concerned with how much blood Jay was losing?
Yeah, at first it was fucking. It was like a sprinkler. I'm sitting there and I'm punching him, and like I'm getting squirted on, like up my arm, like I'm like, So of course my first concern was for me, so I asked him if he had any diseases. Then I asked him if he was okay. Don't you lie to me. No, it was bad, and I was just like, hey, let's fucking smack guys. I know, man. And but after that, you just go through with the match, and we did the best we could with it, and he still was breathing at the end, so I guess mission accomplished.
What did you think of the angle with Homicide, where he threw the fireball at you? I think that was in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was fine. The eyebrow grew back. Yes, I did lose a bit of a toasty eyebrow. You can't really see it, but yeah, there was a big, nice little hunk of fur taken out of the old noggin there. But it served its purpose, and it was a fireball. What more can you say about it?
What was your reaction when the Havana Pitbulls, who worked with you in the New Japan dojo, started getting booked regularly in Ring of Honor? I was happy. Havana Pitbulls are guys that I've been working with outside of the dojo, even before that. Like, initially I brought them to the dojo and said, these are some good guys that are willing to put in the work and put in the time and will be good for this place. And that was upwards of 2 years ago. And they did. And like, when I wasn't formally a part of the dojo, but even when I was in 01, when the dojo was opened up, it was myself and Justin McCauley. Like, we set up everything in there, and I was going up there and training regularly in secret. And I brought the Cubans over there, and they did fantastically over there, and they're reaping the benefits now. They're doing real great, and it's cool. I'm excited for the Ring of Honor, and I don't think American indie fans and American fans in general have seen
how good they really are yet, and they're just now going to start seeing how badass the Pitbulls are. I mean, because they are, in my opinion, they're one of the best teams going in the world.
What did you think of your match against Homicide at Generation Next?
I liked it. It was hot. You know, it was like I said. You know, Homicide's the type of guy that goes full blast the whole time, and you know, I think some people felt the ending was a bit anticlimactic, but at the same time, you know, I don't know. I think Brainbuster's hurt, so that's just me.
What did you think of the 1 hour draw that UNC and Punk did at World Title Classic in Dayton?
Yeah, it's a match I'm proud of. You know, it's a match that that me and Punk just kind of went into with a lot of enthusiasm, and we went into it with something to prove. I mean, at the time, you know, it's no secret that Ring of Honor was having trouble, you know, just kind of delivering some of the old stuff. People thought we were in a slump, you know, and I sort of felt that way too. I think even with the Generation X guys, they just weren't established enough. I think they're now just starting to get established, but I think people were thinking, hey, you know, Ring of Honor's in a slump. They're, you know, they just don't have the main events that can do it anymore and stuff like that. So I mean, we took it to heart because it's like, you know, I'm still fucking here. Punk's still here. You know, we're still alive and kicking shit. So we went out there with the mission. We went out there to prove to people that, you know, we can still unload the big matches that they want to see when they buy a Ring of Honor tape. You know, when people buy a Ring of Honor tape, they expect a certain amount of quality in wrestling. And I think people were saying, well, maybe that quality slipped. Maybe they don't have it anymore. And well, I'll be damned, that's going to happen on my watch. So we just went out there and busted our ass. And the crowd in Dayton was awesome, and they were with us the whole way. And you know, it was probably one of the most enjoyable experiences in ring-wise, and as far as satisfaction with the match afterwards that I've had.
Whose idea was it to go an hour, and what was your reaction to it?
Well, we're sitting in California at the Green Girl Saloon. Popular hangout, but I like to frequent. Me and Punk. And I'm drinking and Punk's not. So I'm drunk. Punk's not. Punk has realized this is the best time to start pitching ideas to me. So Punk's like, hey, why don't we do a 60-minute match? Of course, my reply was, fuck it, let's fucking do a 60-minute fucking match. That was a great fucking idea. No sooner had that come out of my mouth that CM Punk was on the phone with Gabe confirming that we were doing a 60-minute match. At which point I went, wait, shut up, I was fucking kidding, hang up the phone. What are you doing? Fuck, what are you, god damn it. And that's how the 60-minute match came about.
Memories of the six-man tag recently in Jersey at Reborn Completion where Loki returned.
Once again, here and there with Homicide and the Pitbulls. Great opponents. And I got the Briscoes on my side, good tag team partners. And I think it came off great. I don't think people didn't see that coming from a mile away, and I think it gave a bit of a boost to the interesting possibilities that can happen within Ring of Honor. So, I mean, I think it was just a good program overall.
I think probably your best match against Homicide was the one from a couple weeks ago at Death Before Dishonor Part 1. What are your memories of that match, and what do you think about it?
I think it is because I think it capped stuff off nicely, but I think it still showed people how crazy of a son of a bitch Homicide is and how much it takes to put a guy like him down. And I think we achieved a lot of goals with that match. And I mean, overall, at this point, I've worked Homicide so much that it's, you know, I can practically say I'm married to him, you know, as far as working him goes, because I've worked him everywhere, and he's become much like American Dragon, where it's just like a second nature thing, you know. We go in there and literally that match, and I think it's because of this, that match literally was on a nod and a see in there, you know. There wasn't a lot talked about at all, and it was just pretty much, you know, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna tell the story we want to tell, and you know, the ending sequence that happened in there. that happened in there with the crowd. The crowd was dictating that, and we were just following along, and I think that's why it came out that way.
How did New Japan approach you about defending the ROH title at the 626 New Japan Dojo show against Shinya Makabe?
When I officially joined the dojo and started up, there was interest in using an established U.S. title that they had access to. So that's, of course, Ring of Honor title. The NWA title is locked up, of course. And there's no really other prominent belts out there, and they're not doing business with WWE. So they asked me, well, would you mind defending the belt on the New Japan USA TV show? I said, no problem. So originally, Uai, the director of New Japan, had asked if I would drop to Makabe. And it felt like something out of like the Harley Race or Ric Flair or something like that, like with the Japanese, they want you to drop and all this stuff. And I said, well, I don't think that's going to happen, because I think Ring of Honor still had, and we still had programs to do, and I had defenses that needed to be made that were already advertised. So they asked me, I declined, and they asked me again, I declined. And the taping came around and wrestled Makabe and won. And that's pretty much how I was approached. But I mean, it wasn't dropped there. New Japan had asked me recently to come over in August for a very large sum of money to drop the belt for one show and then maybe come back and recapture it down the line. And I had to decline again, and as much as I wanted that money, still, I mean, Ring of Honor has been good to me financially, and I think it played a major cog in what was being built here. And I think there's something to be said for loyalty over monetary compensation, because I think in the long run, I think it benefits everybody, and I think it just would have been bad business in general for everything. I think it would have hurt this promotion. I think it wouldn't have helped New Japan for the amount of hurt it would have done here. And I had to decline, and right now it is a major sticking point with my negotiations with New Japan, because they would have used me 3 months ago if I wasn't ROH champion. But that's part of the sacrifice that I'm making. You're not obligated to make it, of course, but I'm making because I believe in what we're doing here and what we've done so far.
Do you feel like it's more like they want to book you for the belt?
At times. It's a very appealing prospect to them. ROH has been featured in Japan. It does have a bit of a name. People know about it from the All Japan shows, and it's been shown on Samurai TV, of course. And people know about. When I went to my last trip to Japan, people were doing the Joe chant, and people were doing ole ole and stuff. So, I mean, it's not like it's not seen. So I think it's the most accessible, easy to get U.S. title that they could put on somebody, a younger guy. Tanahashi's name was brought up, but at the same time, I still have an obligation here. So.
There were a lot of rumors about you possibly going to TNA contacting you. I guess, could you set the record straight on what did happen, if anything?
Like the TNA deal, I mean, other than like a phone call here or there, I mean, really didn't materialize into anything. I met Jarrett in Japan the first time, and he asked me when we did that tag match, and he asked me, hey, you like my work. He's like, would you be interested in doing TNA? And I said, well, sure, I'd love to. He said, well, drop me an email, drop Bob Ryder or something an email, and then we'll see what we can do. This is when we were ROH and TNA were on good terms, I guess. So I did, and nothing came of it. Jarrett emailed me a few months later, had said, hey, we're interested in, are your Wednesdays free, I believe was what the email said. I said, sure, just give me a buzz anytime you want to use me. Nothing came of it. Finally, they had an idea to use me as a bodyguard for Johnny Fairplay. And AJ had called me. And AJ had asked me, hey, are you interested? I go, yeah. And I go, on this stipulation, I still want to work Ring of Honor. I'm not going to bail, on that for this. And he's like, well, all right, we'll see what I can do. And nothing came of it. And then recently, like it seems like every couple weeks I hear another rumor about TNA is going to use Samoa Joe, TNA is going to sign Samoa Joe. But I mean, it's mostly on their side, and it's not like they've really talked to me about it or anything. So I mean, if it does happen, I mean, it happens. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to sacrifice what I have been working on while they've been deciding, and what I'm doing now in that aspect. And I think now more than ever something can be worked out, but it's just a matter of them coming up with a vehicle to use me, I guess. So.
Is there any truth to the rumor they wanted you to bring the ROH title onto one of the Wednesday night pay-per-views?
No. Literally, the talks consisted of 3 phone calls and an email. So I mean, them asking me about that. I mean, unless even if that was their plan, it'd be ridiculous. And I honestly don't see it helping TNA any. You know, it's going to give them street cred or something. I mean, it's if they were planning that, I think it's the most asinine thing they could have done. Because if anything, it puts ROH on the radar, and you know, I don't think it goes to serve the NWA title anymore.
Do you think in any way TNA is jealous of a lot of the maybe internet exposure that Ring of Honor gets?
I don't think TNA is. I think people within TNA are. I think a lot of people within TNA are downright fucking childish with the way they approach problems. I think there's some good guys in TNA who have their eye on the prize and they know what's right. But at the other hand, I think there's guys in TNA who are so concerned with the internet hype, which hasn't really made any company a dime, to be honest with you. I mean, if you can name me a company that the internet has made a ton of money for, and even people say ECW, well, guess what? They're shut down now. You know, it's amazing to me. The argument can say Ring of Honor is based on internet, but what it's based on is internet's word of mouth. It gets people there, but the people are going to pay for your product based on what they see at the shows. So, I mean, the jealousy aspect of it, it's puzzling to me, because it's like, you know what, if I was TNA and I had all this money and all this access stuff, I'd be worried about putting on a goddamn good show myself, not worried about what the other guy's doing, especially a company who's not televised, who only runs in the Northeast, far away from your markets, and pretty much is using your guys in a positive light. AJ Styles was never buried here. If anything, AJ Styles was glorified. When he won the NWA title, he was given a showcase in a Ring of Honor show. And I don't see TNA talent being used as Ring of Honor as any negative thing at all. If anything, it's a positive. And some of the arguments they've made, whatever, that's fine. But I think now any further attempts to kind of keep TNA guys off, to maybe keep wind out of the ROH sales, is a bit asinine and childish. And I mean, honestly, I think the guys at the top of TNA don't really care, and I think they're just more concerned about keeping TNA going. But I think there's others within that office, and it's no secret, who are childish and who are acting like children, and who, in all honesty, need to get over themselves and their bullshit and their internet credibility, and realize this is business, and business is not about your ego. It's about putting asses in seats, getting tickets sold, and, you know, the boys making money.
You had a match with Low Key recently at a USA Pro show, and there was something that happened backstage.
I think it was a bigger blown-up incident than it was where people saw it. Low Key got popped in the ear. He was upset about that. But at the same time, it wasn't an intentional receipt, but I'd stiffened up because I took a kick to the head, and, you know, it got a little hazy. So, you know, we're throwing bombs. And Key came through, and he was hot. And I walked up to him. I said, hey, you know, what's the deal? And he walked away from me. Well, fuck it, you're going to walk away from me, then we're having a problem. So I walked out behind him. I said, what's up? Are we having a problem right now? What's the deal? He looked at me. He told me, he's like, well, you know, he expressed his displeasure, and I expressed mine. And we just said, all right, cool. Shook hands, and that was it. I mean, I liken it to getting into a fight with my brother because that's pretty much how it was, you know. I mean,
Surprised just I mean, it's pretty obvious to everyone that you guys go out there and you work stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Were you kind of surprised at his reaction?
Not surprised. I mean, I can understand being angry, but if I come up and I'm concerned and you shrug me off, then, you know, fuck it, you know, then we have a problem. And, you know, and if you're not going to, you know, it wasn't like I didn't get mine in that. And I told him too. I said, hey, you hazed me up. So, you know, and I go, oh, that was an accident. You know that. And he goes, yeah. And I go, I know what you did was an accident too. So, whatever, you know. And like, I'm not going to be, I don't give a fuck who you are, you know. I really, and I've made a record that, you know, if there's a problem, we're going to fucking talk about the fucking problem. And we're going to talk about it then. We're not going to wait. We ain't going to stew. We're going to fucking talk about it then.
How did you get your job training at the New Japan Dojo?
I've been working, training off and on there, upwards the past 3 years. You know, ever since the dojo opened, I've been training in and out of there. And then at the time when I officially joined the dojo, they were interested in new money streams, new money revenues. So I said, well, there's guys who live at the dojo now, and you know, basically, you know, they're living and training, and they're preparing for a debut in New Japan. And they asked, you know, and I knew they needed a little bit of extra money just to kind of, you know, buy groceries and get by during the week. So I said, well, how about we start an entry-level pro wrestling course for guys who are interested in train. And pretty much the money is going to go to the guys who train at the dojo. Like 80% of the money from that goes to the trainers. And basically, the project started out as that we wanted to teach our style of wrestling. We wanted to teach the New Japan style of professional wrestling, something that's very much different than what you're going to get anywhere else. And so I came up with the Origin School. Origin based on, like, we wanted to get back to the origins of pro wrestling. You know, we wanted to get back to the grappling, you know, the not so smooth looking style that kind of what pro wrestling has evolved into. You know, our theory is very much like it's supposed to look like a fight. It's not supposed to look pretty. It's not supposed to look perfect and pristine and everything. You know, it's supposed to look, you know, violent and rough out there. So that's pretty much the basis of the course, and it was kind of the style that they wanted to help preach. So for those who were interested in learning that style of pro wrestling, we told them to come to our dojo. And we don't just teach pro wrestling. I mean, they come in, the guys work kickboxers, you know, they work with amateur wrestlers. They learn how to shoot a double and do takedowns. They learn ground submissions. They learn how to stand and fight. They learn a lot more than just basic pro wrestling. So I came up with this concept of the program. The Inokis, Simon, Rocco, and the New Japan staff, they approved. They liked the sound of how we wanted to run the program, and so they gave me the go-ahead, and that's how we started the Origin program. And aside from training, some Japanese guys would come over to the dojo and just some pro wrestling technique. And we were like, you know, like Shinsuke Nakamura trained with him and taught him a bit, and you know, some other, like Hiroshi Nagao and some other the younger lions just coming up. I mean, they just thought it was a great opportunity just to expand on the dojo and help broaden the influence.
What was Nakamura like?
He's a very focused and determined person. When he came to the dojo, he knew what he wanted, and he had a mission. And you know, a lot of people misunderstand what Antonio Inoki is preaching. They think he's the devil. Oh, he's throwing pro wrestlers in there to shoot fighters. He's making them. Nobody made those guys do anything. The whole basis of New Japan is that pro wrestling was the strongest fighting style, and he wanted it, and that's the way it was perceived, and that's the way he wants it perceived in Japan. So Nakamura is the first of a young class of wrestlers who are embracing that philosophy, is that he wants to make pro wrestling the strongest fighting style. And in truth, it is. You know, I think it's lost some of its credibility because of the evolution into the entertainment vehicle that it's become. But, you know, we're trying to push it back into the other realm. You know, we want pro wrestlers who can fight. You know, even on the indies now, when I see guys who like pro wrestling and stuff, I look at a lot of guys and I'm like, if you're in a street fight, you get the shit kicked out of you. Yet you want to convince all these people that you're some badass that they should come pay to see, you know, wrestle in a ring, to do battle, and you look at you. You look like a clown. And like a lot of indie guys, they think it's about the cool moves and look at me, I'm a high flyer, or I'm this or I'm that, or I'm so fucking innovative. And I'm like, to me, that's what's wrong with pro wrestling. All the guys who want to be fucking innovative, all the guys who, I shouldn't say innovative, all the guys who rely on the next flashy, like totally stupid, incoherent move that isn't executed well. Like some of the high flyers, their shit looks good. Like a Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is a good wrestler because he takes his high flying stuff and he makes it work within the context of a match against a bigger guy, a bigger opponent. What I see other guys doing out there, just doing outlandish, stupid shit for no reason. And I'm like, and you think somebody's gonna pay to come see you when you don't look like you could beat up their daughter sitting in the front row? And I mean, that's kind of sort of what we're pushing for the Oregon program to be. We want it to look legit. We want it to look solid. We want it to look, like it does, and with a pro wrestling flair to it. Don't get me wrong, it's still pro wrestling, and it still has to be entertaining. Because two guys going out there and just grappling for an arm lock, it's fucking boring. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been to plenty of jiu-jitsu tournaments. I fall the fuck asleep. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's boring shit unless you're in there with an exciting fighter who knows how to do things, like a Nogueira, who's fucking badass. But other than that, it's taking that reality fight style and making it more entertaining and making it more embraceable by the fans so that they take after it. And that's sort of what we preach with the training in the school, the dojo.
Were you surprised when Nakamura got the IWGP title so quickly? Do you think he was ready for it?
No, I wasn't. Because I knew what Uai was going for, and Uai pretty much was trying to reinvigorate and show the older establishment, because there's tons of political factions in New Japan. There really are. I mean, even with Choshu being gone and Muto taking off to All Japan, there's still tremendous political division within New Japan, as in all Japanese companies. So it was a statement to them that this young guy's taking his career by the horns, put it on the line, risked himself in real fights, and is doing it because he wants to, for the betterment of New Japan, and to better the prestige of the IWGP Championship. So when they did give it to him, it wasn't a big. It was surprising they gave it to him at that young of an age, but it wasn't a huge shock, because I knew what their goals were in New Japan, what they were trying to do. And I mean, it's been right. I knew it was rough for him. The older wrestlers would reject him. They didn't like the fact that this young guy came out of nowhere, and I know like a lot of. I mean, I know his first 2 tours where he's actually pro wrestling, he's getting the shit kicked out of him, bad. Like guys are just taking liberties, just beating the shit out of him because, who's this punk to take the IWGP strap? But I give him credit, he stuck it out, he stuck it through, and I'm sure he's got a nice, great career ahead of him.
Who do you think are some of the best young lions to keep an eye on at the dojo right now?
Ours or theirs?
Theirs.
I'd love to say Bobby Quance, but he's leaving for naval service soon, which is a shame because, honestly, as a professional wrestler and as a fighter, I mean, I won't name any names, but Bobby's tapped out some pretty bad dudes in the dojo. I mean, because we do everything. We do jiu-jitsu, we do kickboxing, and I mean, he's just a natural athlete. As far as young guys go, I mean, it still remains to be seen. TJ, Benoit Perkins, who's real young still. I mean, 19 now. I mean, he's going to be a guy who's going to be the next big sensation in a few years. And I mean, as far as the dojo goes, out of our class, I know there's 2 students in there right now who look potentially good. They don't get a name mentioned yet, but I'm sure after they get done with their training, they'll be proud additions to the New Japan family.
What kind of treatment did Teddy Hart get when he came to the dojo?
Oh, good old Teddy. Teddy had brought some hired muscle with him to the dojo. I could tell it was Teddy's hired muscle because he was wearing one of Teddy's shirts and some acid wash jeans and standing in my dojo and looking rather mean. I don't give a fuck who you are. if you're gonna come to our dojo, you're gonna act like a fucking dickhead, and you treat it like one. So I go, who the fuck are you? Oh, I'm here with Teddy. Well, what the fuck you doing here? Oh, well, and deflated his fucking macho ego bullshit. So I'm in there trying to warm up, and guys coming up to me. Rocky Romero walks in. He's like, Teddy Hart's in here. He wants to fucking talk to you and shit. Now, what Teddy didn't know is that when he called the dojo to get his shot, I'm fucking co-running the place now. So basically, he's walking into my fucking dojo, and he thought he was gonna fucking he didn't know. I don't think he had any idea that I was fucking there. He thought just American Dragon was there, and the guys that don't even pay any mind, the Cubans. So he wants to talk to me. So I pulled him in the office, and I just told him basically, listen, I don't care, whatever. Don't fuck around here. Just go out there, do your stuff, have fun. I don't give a shit either way. Just do your fucking thing, and I don't want to hear about any problems. If there are any problems here, it's gonna be fucking bad. And he's like, okay. And he's like, okay, cool. I go, that's it. That's all I care about. Just don't. This is my place of business. Just don't fuck around in here. That's all I care about. Do whatever you want. This is your ball. Run with it wherever you want to run with it. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, no problem. And that was pretty much the gist of it. And he changed and did his thing and wrestled.
What's your opinion on the ROH booking?
The what?
ROH booking?
Booking?
Gabe's booking.
Gabe's booking? Oh, you mean where he takes a lot of my good ideas and calls them his own? Nah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I like how he writes these promos and they're shitty. And then I just say them the way I want to say them. They come out fantastic. Yeah. So I think about ROH's booking. ROH is get the fuck out of here. ROH is
What would you change about ROH if you could?
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, fans seem happy with it so far. I'm not, I'm a big proponent. If it isn't broke, then why fix it? And I think it's doing well, and I think that fans are interested. And I mean, if anything, I think we just need to keep staying the course of what we're doing and stay consistent and keep putting on good matches. I mean, that's the basis of the company.
Are there any of your matches in Ring of Honor that you were disappointed in?
The first one with Doug Williams. I wanted more out of that, and I think we could have gotten more out of that. It was. I take the blame on that though, because I know that match. It was just a weird. I think I was a little banged up, but it was just kind of a weird set of circumstances. And Doug's just an awesome wrestler. I don't know. It's everything else I was pretty satisfied with. I mean, actually, I'm a big stickler where I'm not really satisfied with anything. I didn't really like the Chris Daniels match after I got done with it. I was like, but after much convincing by Gabe and Chris, I started to like it. I'm really not satisfied with a lot of things I do, even the 60-minute. There's stuff in there that fucking makes me cringe, and the best matches that I've had are there's stuff that makes me cringe. So I'm a real stickler for beating up myself when it comes to matches. So, but I mean, as far as big disappointment, I was disappointed in the Doug Williams match.
How did you end up working for MLW?
Court called me up and said, "Hey, you want to work?" And I said, "All right, that's how much I want." He goes, "Sure." And that's how it came out.
What'd you think of Court?
Good guy. I think he had too many voices in his ear. I mean, everybody seemed to have his ear. The booking seemed to change on the whim of whoever was the big name there. And I think he's a guy who got stretched too many directions by too many people. And it's kind of unfortunate how that all went down.
Memories of your match against Mike Awesome.
That was fucking horrible.
Is it true Awesome went and job for you?
No. I mean, at the time, like I said too, the ROH title was still in its infancy, the whole title run. And yeah, he said he wouldn't, which is whatever. I was paid to go there and do what I do. I'm a little bit more protective, admittedly, of the title now than I was then. But I mean, just the match in general, just like, he was trying to turn it into one of his, like, well, I'm going to throw this guy through a bunch of shit and get over. And I wasn't fun going for it, like, I talked to Mike Osman at a JPW show, and it seemed cool. But even still then, he still tries to go into business for himself, and it's just like, whatever. I mean, to me, I don't need to sit there and smack a dude in the head and throw him through tables to get over, and it fucking pissed me off that he goes out and he sets up a fucking table at ringside. He's gonna fucking Masato Tanaka me through it 3 minutes into the fucking match. And I'm just like, fuck you, and then I fucking hauled off and just started kicking him. And he got all fucking pissed because I was kicking him. And then he fucking threw a fit backstage. And I fucking went up there and there's a fucking problem. What's the deal? And I give him respect. He's been around. He's done some things, but at the same time, like I said, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not gonna take my safety in your hands just so you can be fucking over. I'm not. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you're Mike Awesome. Get the fuck out of here. Whatever. But I mean, I talked to the JPW show. He seemed pretty cool, and I doubt he even remembers it because whatever. It seems like some guys like that have selective memories and shit. But I just didn't fucking dig it, and then like especially when I'm making an effort to be safe and protect him in there, and if it's not exchanged, then fine, then we're gonna do this another way.
Thoughts on your IWA Mid-South match against Chris Hero?
It's a fun match, hot crowd, I'm actually got audibleized because of the crowd, crowd's going crazy, so you don't sit there and fucking try to chain wrestle them back into the quietness. You give them what they want, you build them up, keep it going, and I think it went well. It was a fun match to be involved in.
What are your thoughts on Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's product and the fact it's ran by the talent?
Guerrilla it's a fun show to go to because it's really close to where I live. So I mean, it's nice to not have to take a plane out or 5 hours to somewhere to wrestle. Yeah, Guerrilla's not a big hassle at all. I mean, those guys know what they want to put out, and it's kind of more of a fun show, like kind of a tongue-in-cheek type of atmosphere that they try to give to their shows. And I mean, I enjoy working there, and like a lot of times too, it's really, they fly out a lot of the guys that I work with out here, and they can spend some time in Cali, and I love just taking boys out and showing around town and having a great time, and then walking to the Gorilla show a zombie and putting on a good match.
Do you think promotions like Jersey All Pro, IWA Mid-South, PWG can grow past the level they're on now?
If they get more business-minded. I think a lot of those companies do business to exist and not necessarily to expand. And I think it's the way with a lot of indies. I think a lot of times they just don't have a choice. And in order to grow, you're going to need consistency. You're going to need over characters. You're going to need a following. You're going to need to deliver a certain amount of quality every show. And a lot of those rosters shift around so much. And a lot of that consistency in the storylines and stuff like that, they shift around so much that they just don't have that type of cohesion and consistency to grow any further. You need a real solid foundation, and I think that's the only thing that's hampering those type of companies.
We talked about like pranks and road stories from Japan. In closing, you have any good ones from here in the States?
Oh God. Offhand, I can't really think of any, because in the States it's mostly just stuff that are not intended to be ribs, but they end up that way. Well, there was a time that Ricky Reyes got hammered in Chicago at the ROH show. That was great. Yeah, well, he got really drunk, and yeah, for whatever reason, he thought he was Rick James, God rest his soul. And proceeded to tell everybody in the world that, including all the lovely women at the bar, which he referred to as bitches. And then we went to this place called the Wiener Circle, which is this great place in Chicago where the waitresses behind the counter, if you want to call them that, often curse at the patrons there, since they're cursing back at them. Nobody had really smartened up Reyes to this whole deal, so when Cabana walks in and goes, get my crazy Mexican friend a fucking hot dog, and the chick goes, well, shut the fuck up, motherfucker, I'll get to you when I can, to which Reyes replies, what bitch, what the fuck you say to my friend? And then goes off on a fucking tirade. He's just sitting there shouting at the window, and they're burning him the whole time. My favorite being, it ain't Sunday, I don't need my lawn mowed, Paco, what the fuck? Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Now, I don't know, I could tell you more about that night, but it just gets worse and worse as it goes along. And good old Reyes will have to go back to Cuba to avoid the embarrassment. But I mean, there's tons of good rip stories, but there'll be plenty of time to talk about that when you guys buy my book in about 10 years.
All right, cool. Thank you for.
Thanks, guys.